It's time to go. All right, definitely ready to get this show rolling. So, Zach, it's on you.
Let's make it work.
A model used to be a role model.
Boom.
Hey.
What's up? What's up? How y'all doing today? All right. Funk. We making it happen. Live from South Africa. My good friend, my sister. I got Alexandra May right here on Funk Music with Zach on Super Sunday, IBM.TV. All my funky fans out there checking us out. Make sure y'all type in, chat with us a little bit. I got Alexandra sitting right here. Yo, she's a beautiful spirit, entrepreneur, music genius, producer, arranger, writer, and mentor, and social activist. Right now, right here on Funk Music with Zach Super Sunday, Alexandra May. What's up, baby? How you doing today? How you doing today?
I want you to keep that going. I was like in that groove. I was like, yeah, cool. If this is the show, I'm good with it. Let's keep going.
Yeah, that's how we roll in. That's how I roll in on Funk Super Sunday. So yeah, man. So what's going on, sweetie? How you doing?
I'm so good. Thank you so much for having me on your show. Absolutely. I'm so happy to be doing this.
Yes, it was a must. We talked about this, so yeah. We gotta make sure this happens. So, how are you and your family okay, and everybody good over there? And
yeah, we're all safe, not leaving the house. And oh, you know what? Happy days. I did my very first gig in 6 months last weekend. All social distance and all safe at the venue. Was really, really good about it. But I was so happy. I put so much energy and love into that thing. I'm so used to doing like these live online things now. Mm-hmm. So it's become second nature to do this. But there is nothing like the sound of a real applause from an audience,
Yeah, that's
so
right.
I suddenly appreciate it so much more. I've always appreciated it. I've always appreciated my audience. But I think being away from them for so long, I'm now like, oh, I miss you guys.
Where was the gig at? Where'd you perform at? And first of all, I'm so happy for you. So thank you for all of us that can't be out there. Hold it down for it till we get there. Where was the gig at, though?
It's at this beautiful little cafe called Railways Cafe so in South Africa. I live in Johannesburg, and about 40 minutes up from me, half an hour from me, there's a area called Centurion, and it's in Centurion. It's called Railways Cafe. It is so artsy and cool. Zach, when you come to South Africa to come visit me, I'm taking you to Railways because I have my own weekly show as well, like just after you actually, and I had the Bluebird Cafe on my show a couple weeks back, they're based in Nashville, Tennessee, and I love the Bluebird. And I thought on my show I want the Bluebird, and I want another place from my hometown that I really love, and I want to bring them together to the two different worlds. So I brought Railways Cafe and the Bluebird, and it was so cool to see the two in completely different sides of the world, how similar they are and how passionate they both are about live music and their musicians. And so that's why when they asked, can you come do a gig? I was like, yeah, I'll come do a gig. So here's hoping that it keeps going, that more things open up.
Yeah, and being a spirit that you are, a beautiful spirit, I know that inside you felt so good for yourself, but you probably even felt better to give that vibration to people and receive it back like that. Yeah, that's an amazing thing. And I'm just so happy because I'm glad at least some part of the world has a little bit of some normalcy going on.
Yeah.
Over here, there are people out going to start to play social distancing. And I'm going to take off my star glasses. I just wanted to debut with them. These were a gift
yesterday from
Patty and Boosie Collins. So I had to make sure I rep them on the first time on this show just for you.
They're so cool.
You're a star. Okay.
Oh, can you please send me a set in the mail? I'm dead. Those are so cool.
I'll make sure you get some. You're a star. So
thank you.
Over here, there's been some bands and they're out and doing it, but people are still not doing the social distancing thing. They are still not wearing the mask.
No.
And I only say this for people over here. This stuff may seem insignificant, but it's not when it comes to how we're going to deal with our school system going forward. That's my biggest thing over here, worrying about that, because, you know, whoever catches this, if they're working in the school, that's a wrap. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we're still United States in turmoil figuring it out, but we ain't gonna chop that today. We're gonna focus on this music thing. So when you were playing and people were like coming up to you and everything, and were they happy that you were out and like saying, hey, you know, live, you know, and they know who you are, so you know.
They were digging it. You know, the thing about, I love finding venues that are so enthusiastic about live music, because I'm sure you know this, being in the industry, and especially as someone young in the industry, like where I'm at now. I mean, I've been doing this since I was 12 years old, so it's like literally 12 years that I've been doing this. But still, I'm considered a baby in the industry. But to come across venues that truly love their artists, and to come across people that go to the venue that truly love their music, is so inspiring. And there were 2 acts before me, a duo that I actually know pretty well. We run in the same circles, and then a guy that I actually hadn't heard of before. So he was just I think they were trying him out and whatever, which is quite cool for some new talents. And it was just so cool to see people's reactions. Their phones were out, and I was able to take my dog with me because it's a pet-friendly venue. So my dog was in there watching me, and I was like telling people on stage, if y'all want to go and say hi to a dog, you can go say hi to my dog. Like they were just loving it. I think the thing is we've missed like human interactions so much. Yeah. And that when you do get a bit of it, you take it up and you take all that you can and you appreciate it so much more. So I think they were just like, wow, somebody's talking to me from stage and somebody's singing my song and they dedicated this to me and I'm part of this. And I mean, I'm no comedian, and I think my sense of humor, I'm so dry. I've got this English humor, and it's so sarcastic and it's punny that it's going to go right over. You get it. But for most people, it just goes over your head. Like, you just don't get it. But the thing is, I tell these like funny jokes in between the songs, because I come across music that inspires me in weird ways. So I'll tell these little stories and these little antics and jokes. And some of the audience members were laughing with me. I was like, wow, I haven't been laughed at in so long. Thank you.
Right. You know, it's you said a key word there, when that give and take thing with the audience, and you know how they were just so happy that somebody else was speaking to them other than the person they've been quarantined with or whoever, or if they were alone, they were like, wow, I'm out amongst people. I went 2 weeks ago. I had went and this cover band was playing. And I said, okay, a friend of mine said, come out. So I had my mask on. I was like, I didn't really want to go, but I went because I wanted to see how people were. And it was weird. The first hour I was at this venue, and it was a small venue, outdoor place, right? And people were like, some people were sitting, some people were chatting, some people were just standing by the wall, and they didn't know what to do. The band started playing, but people were like, should I go out or should I make it? It took about an hour and a half for everybody to realize this is what we used to do. This is how we normally were. People were hesitant. I even asked a few people, I was like, yeah, what do you, he said, I was sitting at a table with a guy and this lady that I came with, and we were talking, and he said, yeah, I don't know how to act. I said, yeah, me neither. I don't know if I should drink. It was just a weird thing. And I hope and I pray, and these are my prayers to God. I'm like, please, let's just get something where we could all just at least not wear the mask. Because I don't know about you, but if you're in a place and all you can see is someone's eyes all the time, that's not really mentally healthy. So I worry about that a little bit. But yeah, let's chop it up. So how long? And you said you started playing professionally when you were 12, correct? In the business. Yeah. So what led you to want to do this?
Yeah, well, I always like to say that I earned my first paycheck when I was 12 years old doing what I do today, which is amazing. But I always say this, I come from a wonderful musical background. Like my parents both are instrumentalists and vocalists. I grew up, playing in church and being part of the choir and, all those usual things. And I took guitar lessons and piano lessons from a baby when I was a kid. And I decided to try out singing because obviously my parents can sing. I was like, well, let me give it a bash. I think I was 6 or 7 years old. I gave it a bash and I entered all the competitions that you could enter. And the problem is with competitions, and I love music, art competitions. The problem is a lot of people get trapped in that circle, that thing of just doing competition. It's just competition. And then you're like, well, that's not going to help me put fuel in my car. It's not going to put gas in my car. It's not going to put bread on the table. So you actually need to make a living from this now. So I won all the competitions. That was it. I was like, cool, now what I do? So I thought, take what I do and I have to now apply this to the real world. Another problem with that is when you get caught up in that competition space is that you learn how to win. You do X, Y, Z. You do X, Y, Z to win. And I'd won, and I did it based on strategy and talent and hard work and all the above. But the thing is that isn't what works in the real world. It's not about doing X, Y, Z in order to win. You have to just do what you do and hope that people enjoy what you do too. So it was a lot of undoing, and I'm glad that from 12 years old I was finishing off my competition career, and I was now like actually trying to communicate with an audience for real. And one of the a little phrase that my first drama teacher ever taught me was, "You're not a performer until you make your audience feel something."
Right.
I had to learn how to make that real. How here is my heart. And have a look at it. I'm going to give it to you. Take it. Have a look at the cracks. Have a look at the little scars. Have a look at where I've stitched together.
Wow,
and then give it back to me. Then give it back to me at the end of the set. And that is what I learned to do. And I did theater productions. I starred in a couple of musicals from when I was 15 to 17 or 18. I was Belle in Beauty and the Beast. I was Aurora in Sleeping Beauty. I was Ariel in The Little Mermaid. You know, I did all those musical theaters as well, which is also connecting with children. That's a whole nother audience. That if you can connect with kids, you're good. Like it's real. Like kids are our biggest critics because they want something that's going to make them laugh and make them like, so if you're not doing that, then you're losing. So I have to do that. So I learned pretty quickly, and but I just knew that wasn't what I wanted to do. I didn't want to bring someone else's dream to life. Even though I love musical and I love Disney, I love Disney, but I didn't want to spend my career bringing someone else's dream to life. I wanted to bring my own dream, my own stories to life. I've been writing since I was 12. I wrote my first real song when I was 12. Before that, I was writing poems and little short songs, whatever. But at 12, I wrote my first real song. And so when I was about 18, I was like, this is it now. I'm now gonna do the singer-songwriter, performing artist career. So just sort of shifted gears and went on with that.
Yeah, that's special. You said a few things in there, but I know you and I have talked before in the past, privately about it, and how you said your parents were always supportive, and your environment gave you that opportunity to be, have that fallback, you were destined to do this because you knew early on what you wanted to do. So a lot of times when we find out early on, we just got to then find a path. We no longer have to search for the thing itself, and you figured that out early. And that's a beautiful thing because that doesn't really happen all the time. You being what you are and a prodigy, it just that thing does not happen all the time. And sometimes when it does happen, then, the universe gives us you. And you said something else too. Kids are very perceptive,
Yes.
The scariest gigs I ever had is when we would do like a benefit or go to a school or something in the middle of the afternoon after the kids are all stoked up from lunch. And we had to do what we did, but it was always scary. But the way I used to break the ice, I used to be setting up early, and then I would just go, and if they were in a circle, I would just hang out with them and lay down with them and roll around with them. And I did it a few times because I did some seminars at preschools and stuff like that. And I would just become a kid. That's the only thing that made me feel comfortable, because a lot of times, people are hesitant, but children are your best critics. Anybody. Because they're going to be honest and real. They're not going to sugarcoat it. If they don't like something, they'll be like, nah, I ain't like that. I ain't feeling that.
So true.
That's interesting that you said that because it just brought back some memories. So you're on this journey now and you're doing some really great things. But when you decided, and you play piano, guitar, you're a multi-musician, what other instruments do you play?
Oh, piano and guitar are my main instruments and my writing instruments as well. I play a little bit of drums and a little bit of bass, but it's just so that I know I know what's going on.
Yeah.
Because I think I started playing with a band. I was signed with a record label for a couple of years from 18 to about 21, and then I left them. And in that year in between leaving them and becoming independent artist, I just started working with a band, just sort of build confidence being out on my own. And I learned very quickly that if you don't know how to communicate with your band, you're going to come across as a fool. So you really have to be so savvy about so much. And I had to clue up. So I was like, I want to learn everything from the theory down to the words, everything, so I can communicate with them and they take me seriously. Also, as a young female, I want to be taken seriously by guys in my band. And it was really cool. They like, I remember my band just loved and respected me and loved being part of the band. So yeah, I learned the extra instruments for exactly that.
Yeah, so you're a natural born leader. So when a leader, be they male or female, but especially a young lady, it takes a minute because men got that whole testosterone thing going on.
Yeah.
But, a natural born leader will always end up leading. I look at guys like Maurice White. He started out as a drummer, and then Earth, Wind, and Fire. Teddy Pendergrass, he started out as a drummer, and then he became who he is. Morris Day was Prince's first drummer. So when people are naturally, drummers, we know how to lead. But when you naturally have that in you, it's going to come out anyway. And people would be well served to kind of listen to what you have to say because your gift comes from there. So when you got your gift like that working, a lot of times people, they don't understand it or they're intimidated by it. You know what I mean? Because I've seen that, not with me, but I've seen it with people. And I'm like, yo, just chill because this person can kind of, put us in a place like this or like that. Or I have 9, 10, 11 band members sometimes. So a lot of times I'm managing a lot of different personalities, and a lot of times on a certain night when we're just jamming, you can tell when somebody's got it really hot that night.
Yeah.
And what I would do is like, okay, I'm going to give you the majority of the solos tonight because tonight, obviously, you're on fire, and that, a lot of that has to do with leadership. And then you got to kind of, put your arm around the cats that say, hey, maybe that was my spot to solo. You be like, no, so-and-so got it tonight. You get it next week. So leadership is very important, especially when you have to, manage, minds and manage different personalities and keep yourself involved in the band as well. Because I found out after I would be exhausted just to get to the stage, having to worry about everything. And then when people start jamming, whatever, and then I'd be like, okay, now I actually got to do my part too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, that's amazing.
Oh, it's so true.
You said something really cool a second ago about independent artists, and we're going to touch on that for a minute because you were signed with a label, obviously all the perks and things that come with that. But when you decided to be independent and step out on your own, were you a little hesitant? Were you afraid, or you just went for it?
Yeah. Before I say that, there was a comment that came up from Desiree. And I just want to point out that was my singing teacher back when I was a kid.
I said hello.
Yeah. So Desi's my singing teacher. Hi, Desi.
Hi, Desi. How you doing? Welcome to America.
Indie artists. So from when I was about 15, my entire being, and this is the thing about me, when I set my mind to something, doesn't matter what happens, I'm bashing through those walls. I'm going to build my own doors and bash them down. So I just worked at being this. I wanted to be signed to an album, to a record label. That's what I wanted. And I had a number of mentors. I had people like Desi. I had a number of teachers, and I just worked my butt off to get to that place. And I had demos from when I was 15. I was literally grooming myself to be assigned to a label. And eventually a local label in South Africa contacted me by pure chance. You know how things work in the industry. Somebody else knows you. They saw you, send them an email. There's a meeting. It's just incredible. And after my first initial meeting with them, there were 2 more, and I signed the contract within 2 or 3 weeks with them. Wow. And I was 18. I had just graduated high school. I think I graduated high school end of 2014, and I was signed beginning of 2015. It was like that, which was amazing. And I was signed as an artist, as a pop artist. And I like to think of it as being my sort of university years, because I didn't go and study anything at university because I was then signed to a label and it was my full-time job. So I didn't have any time. So I saw that as my university years, and I learned so much. Like you say, working with a team, working with people, learning how people sort of manage you as well, and how to manage it back.
Exactly.
When you're being managed, how to manage the being managed. Working with producers, working with different people. It just was a whole. I learned so much. But I had a couple of hits on the charts. I was at one point number one. My one single was number one, and my second single was number three of the top 100 in South Africa, which was amazing.
That's what's up, though.
It's just incredible. And I was 19, 20 years old at the time. And when I was about 21, I decided I just wanted to sort of do my own thing. I wanted to really go back to my roots and go back to songwriting. I wanted to go back to my storytelling, because I've always loved storytelling. So that's when I became an independent artist. I obviously have built my own team around me. I've got a publicist, I've got a publisher, I've got a manager, I've got producers that I work with, I have mentors that I bring in. So I've built my own team around me. Here and in the States, which is pretty great. So yeah, that's sort of the transition between the two worlds.
Right. So as you're building your team, and you decided to do the indie thing, and you mentioned over here too, when you finally got that up and rolling, and you started doing your videos and writing your music and all this great stuff, then, at that point, we all come to realization, and then you realize, okay, I'm just going to blast off with this and make that, oh, that's your cat?
Sorry, he's bugging me.
What's his name? What's his name?
His name is Honey Badger.
Honey Badger. What's up, Honey Badger? How you doing? I see, we got some funk talk over here, right? You want to be part of that? That's all good. I love him. I love it. I totally love it. But yes, as you were getting ready to do that and got into your indie thing, who inspired you, before we get into this part of it, when you were coming up? And I know you listen to everybody, but I'm not going to say you're compared to anybody, because to me, you're Alexandra May, the pop star of South Africa, worldwide known, videos, music. But who would you say inspired you to play guitar, play piano, or did you hear one certain song? How did you? Who were the people you listened to? I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Well, you know what? I've always loved to perform, and I think that's like just the foundation of me. Is that I love to perform, I love to talk, I love to have conversation, whether it be in words or with music, whatever it is. So I'm pretty sure with the very first huge concert, like proper big concert that I went to, was I must have been like 12, maybe not even 12. And Celine Dion came to South Africa.
Oh, okay.
And I am the biggest Celine fan.
Okay, that's your girl.
Celine Dion is my thing. And I watched her perform, and she is just so choreographed. So she's such a diva, but like in the best sense. She knows exactly at what second she is going to move her microphone from down here to up here, and at what point she's going to move her head to look. And it's so beautifully pulled together. And then toward the end of it, she then did her final song in this beautiful dress, and she left. And I was like, but where's my song? Where is My Heart Will Go On? Where's my song? And the suspense just rose, and the audience started getting crazy. And suddenly the music starts. And she reappears in this beautiful dress, and she just commands the stage, and she sings the song. And I think it was less about looking back, it's less about the music and less about the costumes, but the fact that she was such a brilliant mind and performer, and she's so in control of every aspect of her show, her tour, everything. That just inspired me. Like, I want to do that. I want to make an audience go, oh, that's what I want.
Yes. Yep.
And that's what I was dying to do. So I sort of learned ways of how to do that. And obviously I've grown up with the old Taylor Swift. I dig Taylor Swift. I've grown up with the old Selena Gomez. I've grown up with Demi Lovato. I've grown up with all those pop girls. And when I started looking into my songwriting, I realized that even further back in my past, I grew up. My dad grew up in the late 70s and 80s. So my entire childhood has been the 80s, and has been the 70s music. Yeah. Carole King, Fleetwood Mac, the Stones.
Yeah,
those are my storytellers, and I just wanted to tell stories as good as them, and like I just want to do like what they did. And so I think that's where it was the mixture of that young pop those teens that I was looking at who were also in transition between leaving Disney and becoming independent themselves and finding their own voice and their own careers and growing as people, and then mix it up with those storytellers, Carole Kings and Stevie Nicks and all the above. I was just like, I want to tell stories, and I want to do my own voice, and I want to do that. And I think it was just like a mush of everything. And that's a very long answer to your question.
No, that's the perfect answer, because that's why we get deep in here. On this show, we peel back the layers till we just keep digging it, because that's what, people want to hear. And that's what I'm inspired to hear, because it inspires me, because what you said, a couple of things about, first I'm going to get back to Celine. Certain artists have this pow factor. But certain artists also have a pow factor, but it's so subtle. And when you said her with everything that she does, look, this and that, the first time I saw Sade, and I knew where they were at. And Sade is one of my favorites. I love some Sade, right? Chaka Khan, Sade. But Chaka's more like in your face. Sade, when I watched everything she did, from her step to the way she came on, to the way she moved, the subtleties, because her music is so subtly insane, intense, but she never lets it bubble over the pot. And that's what makes her music so great. And, she opened up with Sweetest Taboo. I saw her and I was like, wow, they running their hit right out the charts. But then I didn't really listen to everything else. They ran their hit first, but then they just ran the whole show. And I was like overwhelmed, because she was so graceful. Like you said, with Celine Dion, everything Sade did, I was like, oh, she's figured this out, but on a different side of it. She's not going to be Beyonce in your face, but she's going to be laid back. And Sade, from back in the day, when she first came out, we were all like, wow, this is brand new from South Africa. We was like, we haven't heard this before. So did you ever listen to any Sade? Do you like her music? You ever, check her out?
I have checked her out a little bit. Yeah, I can't say I know her as well as I would know Celine Dion songs, but I do. I have checked her out. Amazing. Yes.
Yeah. I was just curious about that comparison. Mark is dying for me to ask you, and he asked me this a couple of days ago when he knew he was coming on the show. Do you mind the Taylor Swift comparisons, or you just want to be like, no, she's Taylor, Alexandra?
The thing is, and I think I really do appreciate you saying, like, you don't want to compare me because I'm just who I am. That is what I strive. I don't want to replace anyone. I don't want to, and hence I don't want to be like anyone. I just want to do me, and I'm inspired by so many. But the reality is, I do understand that I'm not well known all over the world. So you'll have to you need to find something that's similar, so you know where to pin me. I don't mind the Taylor Swift comparison, because she's amazing. She's business mind. She's like a Celine Dion. She also knows where her team is at every second of the day. She's in so much control of her career and her tour, and she draws her own sets for her shows.
She's engulfed,
She is incredible. And again, just a mind. And if I'm being compared to someone who's an incredible businesswoman, then I'm okay with that.
Exactly. You know what's funny? Because I saw the Monsters Ball, Lady Gaga, right?
Yeah.
Yo, let me tell you something. I got to tell you. But see, that wasn't the thing. The thing, besides that, because I know the light show and all this other stuff, and I also dug Adele, with none of that. But the thing is, right? I there was a clip with her backstage, and she was really just stripped down Lady Gaga, her real name, and I forgot her real name, but she was just doing exactly what you said. And speaking of that, I have to tell you, I'm loving empowered women. I love it. I love it. I love it. And I want you to speak to that for a minute. Any young ladies out there, inspiring artists, I want you to listen to this young lady. Again, here we are, IBM.TV, on Super Sunday, Funk Music with Zach. My special guest live, Alexandra May, all the way from South Africa, is here with us. We're blessed to have you. So tell us a little bit about, if you were going to speak to a young lady to get in this business, and empower themselves, what would you tell them as far as being inspired by it? to inspire?
I think I'm like, I don't know if I think I might be the worst person to speak to because I'm going to be so brutally honest.
Yeah, go for it.
My parents always say, my nan always says that growing old ain't for sissies.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's the same for this industry.
Yep.
Being in this entertainment industry ain't for sissies.
Thank you for saying that.
You really, if you're just in it for the music and you just want to feel good, that's great. But if you actually want to make a difference in the world and you want to use the platforms that are available, you're going to have to be, and this is the word that my mom uses, fearless.
Yeah.
You have to be fearless. And I've written songs about this. I say to myself, I will buy things that when I'm away from home, I'll buy things that say fearless on them. I'll bring them home for my mom because that is it. You have to be fearless to buy that air ticket to, as they say in Friends, pick up a spoon in one of the first episodes. You have to be fearless to do that. So if you're wanting to get into the industry, and especially being firstly young, because you're never taken seriously. Nobody takes you seriously. I'm apparently still paying my dues as a 24-year-old who's been doing this for 12 years. I'm not saying that I have learned everything. I will never have learned everything, and I'm very, very good with that. But I like to be taken seriously, and I like to know that I've worked hard for where I am now. Yeah. So work hard. Don't let the naysayers get into your head. If you're young, keep pushing. If you're female, know that there is a vibe when you go into a room, that guys are going to look at you a certain way, that people are going to treat you differently, that people are going to diss your career, they're going to diss your genre, they're going to diss what you're wearing, everything. And I've been there, I've felt it, and I've never wanted to be one of those people that has just always said, oh no, the world's a good place. And I've always been that way. But when you're suddenly faced with the reality of it, it is quite a big thing in your face. Yeah. So be fearless. Don't let anything stop you. Push the go button and just go and be fearless and keep going and be fearless and keep going and build your own doors. Don't wait for other people to open up windows and looking through little peepholes. Build your own door. Go to wherever you go to buy your building material and find a wall and build a door. Take the lock and go through.
Well said. And, having said that, you're going to get into some live music. You're going to play a little bit for us?
Yeah.
Please do. Please do. Okay. Right now, Alexandra May, right here from South Africa, my friend, my sister. I love this woman, and y'all check her out. So hit us with a little something.
Okay. Can you hear that all right? Or should I turn it up?
Nah, you good.
Amazing.
As long as Mark is good, I'm good.
Cool. So I want to play this song because it's currently winter in South Africa and I'm freezing my butt off. But y'all have summer in America, and I'm so jelly. I'm so jelly. So I wrote this song, ironically, during winter in South Africa with a friend of mine who's from a band here in South Africa. And I took it to America and I played it for them, and I love the song because it's exactly who I am. Yeah. And the song's called Hooked.
Okay. Hooked. Here we go.
Hooked. No, there isn't much between us, just enough to make me feel like I can spend my summer days with you. Got my hand making waves outside the left-hand window, and my Ray-Bans looking at the view. And I know I might be coming on a little bit stronger than I like to. I'm so into you. One pull of the line, that's all it took. Like my favorite line from my favorite book. You got me hooked, yeah, I want you. You got me hooked, yeah, I need you. When I'm with you, every day is like a Saturday night. You got me hooked, yeah, I want you. You got me hooked, yeah, yeah, you got me hooked, yeah, you got me hooked, yeah, you got me hooked, yeah, I want you, yeah, I need you tonight. Got the feeling like I'm tripping on a sweet, sweaty summer, and I know it's all because of you. And the sound of Old Taylor on my Spotify playlist, making memories on the radio. Yeah, the beats got me moving, and these streetlights got me wishing that the season, it'll never end. One pull off the line, that's all it took. Like my favorite line from my favorite book. You got me hooked, yeah, I want ya. You got me hooked, yeah, I need ya. When I'm with you, every day is like a Saturday night. You got me hooked, yeah, I want ya. You got me hooked, yeah, yeah, yeah. You got me hooked, yeah, yeah, yeah. You got me hooked, yeah, yeah, yeah. You got me hooked, yeah, I want you, yeah, I need you tonight. Just a little bit of this and a little bit of that. Yeah, we're rolling down the dirt road in your blue Cadillac. Just a little bit of this and a little bit of that. I'm a sucker for your love and never going back. You got me hooked, yeah, I want ya. You got me hooked, yeah, I need ya. When I'm with you, every day is like a Saturday night. You got me hooked, yeah, I want ya. You got me hooked, yeah, I want ya. You got me hooked, yeah, I need ya. When I'm with you, every day is like a Saturday night. You got me hooked, yeah, I want ya. You got me hooked, yeah, yeah, yeah. You got me hooked, yeah, yeah, yeah. You got me hooked, yeah, yeah, yeah. You got me hooked, yeah, I want you, yeah, I need you tonight.
Yo, that's crazy tight. A gentleman, Tony, wanted to know where you were from, South Africa. You know, again, with Alexandra May. So hit us with another one. You know, that's a beautiful song. The title reminded me of summertime, and I'm just lifted now. I'm ready to go outside and embrace the world. You're incredible. So hit us with another song, because I know you're going to give us something else live.
Yeah. Oh, no, I need to give an intro for this one. So I love a good 12-bar blues, right? There's nothing like a 12-bar blues. And I wrote with a friend of mine called Jane Back. And she's written a number of Reba McEntire hits, like some good old classics that I adore. And she's written some of these. So I write with her every couple of weeks, and I adore her. And I told her, I love the song of this particular artist or whatever, and I want to I'm inspired by this. Let's do this groove. And she's like, okay, let's do it. And she had this hook. She had this hook called Definite Maybe. And I'm like, that's it.
That's it, right? Yeah.
So this song is called Definite Maybe.
Get it up.
I know that I need somebody, no, but not just anybody. Someone who wants to be my baby. Being around you gets me drunk, low and lonely, high on love, like a double shot of whiskey. You're a sure possibility, and I can guarantee a definite maybe. I've been told that I'm too reckless, and boy, you leave me breathless. My stupid heart is helpless. You could be a definite maybe. Something that you're giving me comes across so innocently, makes me wanna pack away my crazy. Settle down and shake me up. I can't seem to get enough of flying high on cloud nine daily. You're a sure possibility, and I can guarantee a definite maybe. I've been told that I'm too reckless, and boy, you leave me breathless. My stupid heart is helpless. You could be a definite maybe. And oh my words are tangled up in knots. I wanna slow down, but darling, I can't stop. You're a definite maybe. I've been told that I'm too reckless, and boy, you leave me breathless. My stupid heart is helpless, you could be. And I've been told that I'm too reckless, and boy, you leave me breathless. My stupid heart is helpless, you could be. A definite maybe. You're perfect for me, you're a definite maybe. You're perfect for me, you're a definite maybe. You're perfect for me, you're a definite maybe.
Yo, that's tight. That's so good. You have us gentlemen friends over here talking about who you wrote those first two songs for. That's why you saw me smiling, because Jim said you wrote it for him. I said, no, that's for me. And then Mark, of course, no, that's for me. So you're amazing
here, Alexandria. You know you have a fan club here among the folks that are part of the IBM TV family. So you are also getting a lot of love from Ankit as well. So Ankit was giving a shout out to both you and Zach for this amazing ability that you have just to warm our hearts and your tremendous playing abilities. So definitely wanted to share that with you. I did have a quick question, so I'm going to jump in here real quickly. And that question is, could you talk to our listeners and folks that are watching about the South African music scene? I know about Miriam Makaba and things of that nature, but a lot of our listeners don't know about that scene. So I wish that you would share a little bit about that scene just so they can know what it is like now and what it was like historically. Because like I said, I'm a big music fan. So, and I know that you're a young musician, but you're also a historian of the music business. So if you could share a little bit about that.
Sure. It's such a big question. There's just way too much, but I will give a little brief snippet. So, back, before I am part of the, born free generation. I was born in 96 and Nelson Mandela became president in 95. So I'm part of this born free generation. Before Mandela, before me, we had apartheid. Which was segregation between white people and anyone mixed race, black, didn't matter. There was segregation. Because of that, the world put sanctions on South Africa to push the government to stop doing this. And because of that, there were certain artists that weren't allowed to speak out. So singer-songwriters would be writing stories. People like PJ Powers, the late Johnny Clegg, would be writing stories about South Africa, and they would be sanctioned in their own country. They would not allow to be played on the radio. Their stories would not be allowed to play on the radio. And in a way, because of that, we weren't exposed to anything international. So in general, our stories were incredible and our skills were incredible, but we were almost lacking in comparison to anything else in the world. When it came to certain skills, recording and whatever else. So we were growing inside, but you become a big fish in a small pond, essentially. So when eventually Mandela became president and sanctions were dropped and all the above, we were suddenly flooded with all this real stuff from America and the UK and wherever else. And you could hear the difference on radio. You could hear the difference between a South African song and an international song. And you would not even have to hear the artist, the DJ on the radio would not have to say anything. You could hear the drop in quality. And that was just because skill set wasn't there. On top of that, because listeners were starting to be fed that international stuff is better than local being South Africa, they would not really want to listen to these South African songs. So the circuit of songs on the radio became such a small little amount, such a small pool, that no one could get onto the radio. And so the live circuit became strong. But the problem is we've grown up in a country now, when sanctions were dropped and all that, we suddenly had a flood of all these new songs that we didn't want to hear anything local and new. We wanted to hear what everyone else was listening to. So for a long time, the norm in South Africa has been to play, you get hired as a musician to play your 3 times 45-minute set of covers, and you play covers and that's it. And if you play an original song in the mix of that, it's like, boo, get off, play, Wagon Wheel, whatever it is, play those songs again. We want to hear that. And that's not a diss to those songs, because I do love good old classics and I play them in my sets. But our audiences weren't being taught how to hear and to listen to new music and to enjoy new music. And I think that's something that in the States, at open mics in LA and New York, it's a thing to listen to new music, because that's what you do. In Nashville, Tennessee, at Writers' Rounds, that's all you can hear. You're not allowed to play covers in Writers' Rounds unless you're downtown Lower Broad doing covers and all that. You're hired to do that, but you're not allowed to play covers in Writers' Rounds. And the audiences have been taught how to appreciate and enjoy new music, and then they want their favorite artist back to play that song that they played last week because they love it. So I've sort of grown up in this new world in South Africa where there's this cover circuit, and radio, the quality of local songs is terrible, and only in the last 10 years it has started to really be in comparison with what's happening overseas. And we have there's a studio in Cape Town, South Africa, called Milestone Studio, and it's a floating room. It's beautiful. It's incredible. And people now fly in from overseas to use that studio. That is how good we've gotten. We've learned so quickly. That's the thing about South Africans. We're so hardworking and we pick up things so quickly. So the music industry has evolved so much where the quality is just now becoming world standard. And people are starting to become fearless and buy a plane ticket and go overseas and want to explore the world outside of our little pond. So I think still new audiences aren't still they haven't quite learned how to still listen and enjoy new music. If it's not on the radio, then they don't really care. But I think at certain venues, we were talking about it earlier, certain venues, there is a crowd that comes to these venues that do just want to have a good time and want to hear a good old tune. And if that tune is good, we don't care if it's yours or someone else's.
That's what's up. Speaking of pop music, you got a pop song that you said, another song, a cover that you want to do for us. So why don't you do that? That was a good question, Mark. Thank you.
No problem at all.
Sure. A pop song that I wanted to do. I don't know if I've got a pop song I wanted to do.
Well, it was a cover. I think it was a cover. You said, you wanted to do a couple of covers, and I'm dying to hear, because you mentioned cover songs we were just mentioning. So I'm dying to hear that. Let's hear that.
Well, I'm trying to think which one, because I've got a few favorites, and I'm trying to think if I want to go my queens, if I want to go my king, if I want to go, I'm trying to think who I want to do. Do you guys feel like listening? Should we take it down for a second? Should we take it down?
Yeah, man, something about Wrinkle in Time, and I can't remember if that's a cover or an original. So if that's a cover, what about that one?
Wrinkle in Time. That is a song, I think, but I don't. It's not. I don't know it, but I think I know the title. Sorry. But here's something you might know. Wise men say only fools rush in, but I can't help falling in love with you. Shall I stay? Would it be a sin if I can't help falling in love with you? Like a river flows surely to the sea, darling, so it goes. Some things are meant to be. take my whole life too, for I can't help falling in love with you. No, I can't help falling in love with you.
Yo, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. That's awesome.
Thank you.
That's awesome. You have such an amazing voice. Fans around the world. People, here we are on Funk Music with Zach on Super Sunday. I have Alexandra May from South Africa. She's chilling with us and been gracious enough to give us a little insight. And I was going to get into something, but Mark kind of stole my thunder. Have you written anything about the Black Lives Matter movement or any songs about COVID? I know I was up in the studio late work last night working on that, but I know a lot of artists are actually doing some stuff with that. So have you done anything pertaining to the BML movement now as compared to what you actually went through when you were born, and using those two comparisons? Also, have you thought about doing any type of benefit to help raise money or anything like that? Because you're a phenomenal, beautiful voice. Dr. Anthony says you have a beautiful voice. My good friend, she's coming on after this show at 1:00. She's from DC. But yeah, you're amazing. And I just want to know your thoughts about this new era of storytelling, since you are a storyteller. You know what I mean? And there's a lot of stories now to tell. So have you thought about that at all?
Yeah. It's very interesting what you say, because I think I might have spoken about it before with someone else, and I can't think who. But being a South African born in this new generation, and having grown up in the new South Africa, the comparison between what the States is now, the turmoil that you guys are going through, and what we have gone through. We still face difficulties. We still have our own issues. Of course we do. But it's very interesting. And I think I see it from a different perspective. And you're right, I do. But when it comes to storytelling, I haven't written anything specifically, for example, about COVID or about Black Lives Matter, or in South Africa, we're currently dealing with gender-based violence, which is violence against females, and that's our big issue at the moment. But of course, Black Lives Matter is filtering down to South Africa as well. So I haven't written anything specifically, but I have obviously written songs that I feel would encourage me during this time. I've been writing a lot of gospel music, and that is something that feeds my soul and calms my soul. And I don't keep a diary. My songs are my diary, and I find that it's my way of how I want to communicate with God at the moment is through those songs. So there's a lot of turmoil in that. But then also I have just average songs as well. There's a song called Dear Me that I've written, and it's just a letter, as if I was writing a journal to myself, Dear Me. And it's about being fearless during, like what my mom has always said, be fearless, but especially during now, being fearless during all of this and coming out stronger. There's another song of mine called Brown Eyes, and saying that I'm always going to be there for that person. I'm going to love you through everything, even on a starless night. I'll leave a light on for you. So there are those inspirational sort of songs that I've been writing. Yes, nothing specific, but I think more general. Is where my heart is at the moment.
I have some lyrics that I'm going to send you to a song called "Not in My Neighborhood." And it's a poem that I wrote years and years and years ago, and it concerns everything that people were dealing then. And this was like the early '90s. I wrote this poem, so I'm going to send that to you, and maybe you can put some music to it, because I can't hear any music to it. Yeah, I will. I'll send you the lyrics. So we got time for one more song. And then we're going to get our closing thing happening, because we got a hard out at 1:00. First of all, here we are with Alexandra May, live from South Africa. She's gracious. Check her out at Alexandra May Music Cafe. That comes on at 3:00 on IBM.TV, and we always support that. And we definitely love having you. I want you to come back. We didn't get a chance to get to your video today, but there's so many more things, layers that we're going to unpeel. So give us one more, please.
Okay. I was speaking about the song. I think it's pertinent that I sing the song. It's called Dear Me, and as I said, it's a letter to myself, essentially. This is dedicated to anyone that's going through a tough time and y'all need some inspo. Just be fearless. Dear me, to everything I wanted to be. Dear me, to my present, my future, my past. I'm writing all this down to let you know. You don't have to do life on your own. But all the waiting, which way is it coming? Sometimes the rain, it falls, the clouds are crashing in. Just close my eyes, stay open, watch disaster win. Yeah, heaven's out of sight, but I am running to the light. Sometimes it's all nothing when you gotta show your feelings. Your feelings, yeah.
Yes, what's up?
Dear me, it's gonna be alright, you'll see. Dear me, you got everything you need in your hands. I'm singing this again to let you know. You don't have to dance life on your own. But all the waiting, all this anticipating. Sometimes the rain, it falls, the clouds are crashing in. Just close my eyes, stay open, watch disaster win. Yeah, heaven's out of sight, but I'm running to the light. Sometimes it's all nothing when you gotta show your feelings. Your feelings, yeah. But all the waiting, which way is it coming? All this anticipating, waiting for a disaster to win. Sometimes the rain, it falls, the clouds are crashing in. Just close my eyes, stay open, watch disaster win. Yeah, heaven's out of sight, but I'm running to the light. Sometimes it's all or nothing, and now I gotta show I'm fearless. I'm fearless. I'm fearless, yeah. Sometimes it's all or nothing, and now I gotta show I'm fearless. I'm fearless, yeah. Dear me, dear me, be fearless and you will be free.
Yo, that's amazing. Kudos.
Thank
Bravo,
you.
Alexandra May. So yeah, you got all this great music popping. So where can people find you and how can they reach you?
Thank you. Yeah, I am Alexandra May Music on every single platform. Alexandra May Music. Simple as that.
There you go. Alexandra May Music, live from South Africa. My friend, my sister. I want to have you on a lot. We got a lot to get to. We got a lot of layers to get to. And I just want to say your beautiful spirit, mentor, social activist, and you're writing all these great songs, and you're like soaring, you know, like a star in the universe, which you are. I'm greatly appreciative of everything that you're doing in the world of music and the business.
Thank
you. You're the next generation of beautiful, awesome talent, and you know how to make this work, and you have a little mix of that old school theory as well as that new school. And, you're making it work like incredibly well. And I'm proud of you. I can't thank you enough. My heart, those songs make me cry when I'm listening to them. And you come back and see us again, all right? Right here on Funk Music with Zach. Live, we've had the wonderful, the great, the brilliant, amazing Alexandra May. Tape don't lie, y'all. As we say, the tape don't lie. You know what I mean? So
good. Yeah.
You win like Flint. And it does my heart good because I listen to a lot of Sheryl Crow. I listen to a lot of people, those are the people I listen to, Bonnie Raitt, and now, I can hear a lot of stuff that you're going to be doing in the future that you haven't even written yet. I can already hear it. And again, I'm grateful. Namaste. Peace.
Thank
love,
you.
and all that good stuff. All right, I'm out, y'all. That was our show for today. Thank you for tuning in live right here on, Funk Music with Zach Super Sunday. Woo! That's what's
Thank
up.
you, Zach.
What an amazing conversation that you had there, Zach. Definitely thoroughly enjoyable conversation. Great seeing Alexandria. And Alexandria, before you disappear, we're talking about fearless women and things of that nature, where we've got two fearless women that are joining us right now, because we've got Kimberly joining us, and we've also got Dr. Anthony. So definitely following in that footsteps, and of course Alexandria, of those fearless women that are out there. I actually come from a family of fearless women. My mom started a radio station and did that many years ago, and then my grandmother started a library in Raleigh, North Carolina, where there was no African American library. So definitely I know about fearless women, and definitely, like Zach, a big time supporter of fearless women. So just wanted to thank you for joining that great tradition, because you are part of that great tradition.
I want to do a timeout here and mention the music marathon that we're going to be hosting in September to raise money for musical artists who have been struggling during this time frame. And what we're trying to do is get together all the people who've been on all of our shows, and we're going to run it, 24 for 2 days, a long weekend, starting Friday night and ending whenever Sunday, because we are worldwide. So, Alexandra, I hope that you'll be interested in joining us.
I'm always there. You know me.
I know. So I just had to get that in before everybody kind of got going on something, because I know we'll might forget about it, and we need to start having meetings about it so that we get it going, because we want to host it in September.
Awesome.
And because we've had
I would like Zach to introduce Dr. Anthony, and then Dr. Anthony can introduce herself again, and then we'll have a conversation based on that.
Yeah.
Over to you.
Yes. Oh, hello, the amazing Dr. Anthony. Thank you for joining us. It was quite a surprise to me, and I'm so happy you made my Sunday morning, besides all these great people here, because I looked at my phone this morning and I saw Dr. Anthony at 1:00, and I was like, yes, I'm glad to have you back here on our roundtable at IBM.TV. It's beautiful. Love to have you. Are you in New Orleans or are you in DC now?
I'm actually in Texas.
In Texas, okay.
Yeah, I truck over to get it serviced, but I'll be going back to Louisiana today.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Yeah. It's great to have you, and is your family safe and everybody okay? And
they're good. They're well. Yeah.
Okay. You're welcome. Thank you for joining us today. It's beautiful.
And Dr. Anthony, can you share about yourself to our viewers around the world? Where are you from and what do you do?
Okay. Well, I'm Dr. Anthony. I have a PhD in educational leadership. I work in education and I also work in mental health simultaneously. So that's pretty much what I do on an everyday basis. I also consult and I work with educators from across the country. Hopefully I can go international with that as well. And that's pretty much it in a nutshell.
Dr. Anthony, if I could just leap in there really quickly. I know that with what's going on in the world and everything, a lot of folks are thinking about mental health and how COVID is impacting us, how Black Lives Matter is impacting us, how a lot of other things are impacting us from a mental health standpoint. Could you talk about that, please? Because I think that it is a very important issue and it's a global issue. So I would love to hear your insight as to what's going on in that realm and what we can do.
Yeah, for the most part, with mental health, communication is always key. And I tell people this all the time. You have to talk to people. Even myself, I talk to people, my friends all the time, and especially with parents and children. They have to communicate with their children. Children are very flexible, so they can adjust. But with that adjustment, people need to talk and have those conversations and explain. So even with for example, with my 5-year-old nephew, we explained to him what COVID-19 is. So he knows if we go out, he has to wear a mask. He knows that we can't touch people. He knows that, we have to use hand sanitizer. We have to, spray everything down. So having those conversations in kid-friendly language, especially for children, is very key. And also talking to your child because they're being taken out of the norm. So having that conversation and trying to keep some type of normalcy, not physically going to have, conversations with friends, but, like Zoom, like we here in the roundtable, but having those conversations with them online so they can see, each other and communicate with each other. But they just got to talk to their children and, and explain. And that's basically the key.
Well, Dr. Anthony,
Yes.
Lynn, our sponsor, has been really questioning my mental health recently. Has there been someone that you've met that it's just you can't help them? The mental health issues are just.
I don't feel like I can't help someone. I feel like I have an infectious personality, and when I talk to people, they naturally gravitate to me. So I actually have a caseload of 25 people that I see, and so. My people, I try to go over and above and beyond to, assist them. So I'm very flexible when it comes to my caseload. And I think, therapists has to be that way since we're in a pandemic. So if they text me or if they call me, I make sure that, I answer the phone or I respond to a text message, even if it's, outside of my normal hours that I would normally see them. Just having that flexibility and giving them that reassurance, just makes them, feel, like they're a part of and they're included, because I don't want them to ever feel like, I've thrown them to the wayside or, they're not important and they're not, included in, the here and now. So even with the clients, I talk to them about, like safety. I talk to them about their daily mental health. Just basically go over their, schedule and try to keep some normalcy to them, throughout this whole situation. We talk about the mask and, they'll tell me, well, Dr. Anthony, I need a mask. I was like, okay, well, I'll go get you some. And, if I can't bring it, I'll mail it to you or whatever. So I try to, keep them within their comfort zone.
Yeah.
In their comfort zone. Yes.
So Dr. Anthony, I think that's wonderful. But I have a $20 bill here that says that you cannot help Jim Eade because I think he's beyond help. So, anyway,
your biggest challenge.
I think that you probably can help most anybody in the world.
So do I, yeah.
There are some people that are beyond help.
You think there's some people that are beyond help?
There might be some people beyond help.
I don't know. He just has to, he has to meet me and, just start, getting entangled, with me. And I think, my infectiousness will rub off on him and, we can change there.
Well, how would we get in touch with you?
You can get in touch with me on Twitter at Tawana Deshawn. Is at Twitter, Tawana Deshawn, and Instagram is at Tawana Deshawn, and my email is also tawana.anthony@gmail.com, and I'm also listed on Facebook at Dr. Tawana Deshawn Anthony on my public profile page. My personal page is already at capacity, so I can't accept any more friend requests.
And she's on my page as well. You can find her. Again, Here we are chilling at the round table with all of our funky guests here. Dr. Anthony and Kim's in the house. Ankit, Lynn, Mark. We just chilling. So, Doc, I have a question for you.
Yes.
When do you, and I know this is a hard question, but do you see any kind of end coming to where we can at least get some socialization back with the mask across the country, or are we just going to catch can with every state? Because that's what's killing me right now. I don't see a plan. I don't see how we can get through this. It's so fragmented. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it is fragmented. But as in the immediacy, I don't see that happening. For the simple reason is everything is being rushed to reopen. We never really got an opportunity to, put it to rest the first time. So I still think COVID is still in its infancy, and it still hasn't, broadened out to the point where it needs to be. And I think in the fall, we're going to see more of that, especially with the schools are being open and the children are being pushed back into the school system. I just think, for me personally, I just think everything needs to just go on a whole hiatus of, shutting down, no movement, no this, no that. And so we can try to get some type of, control over it. Because right now it's in free fall for me. There's no control. Me too. The thing about it is we're having, like all these new cases every day. And then, we have people who are being reinfected. So if we're having the new cases and people being reinfected, there's no way that we can control it. So we have to shut everything down, and we have to go back into the hiatus of where we were, on lockdown. But, with the president pushing, opening schools, opening businesses, and, things like that or whatever, he's pushing that narrative. And that's not the narrative that needs to be written at this point. We need to completely shut down. I mean, because I'm an educator myself, and I'm not going back into the school.
I don't blame you. Yeah.
Because, I know firsthand that parents send their children to school sick. Children, and I'm in the elementary section, children, they touch, they don't want to stay away from each other. Hey, let's switch masks. You take my mask, I take yours, and it's no way that you can social distance. And if you look at the statistics within the public sector, because I'm in the public ed, our classrooms are over capacity. We're not a 1 to 22 or 22 to 1, ratio. We're severely over capacity, and there's no way to social distance with the little children. And the curriculum in elementary is based off of group work and group participation and the children working together. So my thing is, what does that look like if we go back into the school? How can you guarantee that, the children are going to come in safe? How can you guarantee that, we're not going to get sick? How can you guarantee that, the people that, the other educators and the other people that are, affiliated with the schools are not sick, and there's no certainty, there's no guarantee there. And, I was just having this conversation with a couple of friends the other day, and I was telling them that when I initially went to this school, I transferred to this school, I taught third grade. And so as I was in the classroom, I was sick every day. And I was reporting to my principal. I was like, something is wrong with this building and I'm getting sick. And every day I would leave, I would break out in hives. My lips would swell, my eyes would swell, my throat would swell. And I'm telling her, I was like, something is wrong with this building. So come to find out, they had me in a room with mold for 6 months.
Wow.
So that time I've been breaking out in hives, and I've had, other ailments or whatever, based off of me being in that particular room for 6 months. So my thing is, you can protect me from mold. How can you protect me from COVID? You know what I'm saying? There's no way that, they can, seriously protect, their teachers and stuff. So me personally, I'm not going back into the classroom, even if they say, we have to go back. I'm not going back.
I know we decided to keep our kids home. Go ahead, Kim. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. I want to hear this.
I was just saying, we decided here in Durham, they decided it's not going to happen until January. So I was just going to say, the online thing is in place here. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Kim.
No, and the online is pretty interesting. I've got a young girl that I've known since she was a little girl. I used to work in the school systems a lot. I volunteered a lot and did some teaching myself on some certain subjects until my children were grown. You're right. You cannot stop that curiosity and trading off. And I was watching a thread that online school had just started, right? And this one girl that I knew growing up, she's a teacher now. And she goes, oh my gosh. She goes, this is so hilarious. And so her thread of her kids, you want to hear my dog barking? My sister's touching me. I'm reading this thread because kids are just going to be kids, whether they're still at home. Yeah. And I'm watching. I have to pee now.
I saw you laugh, and I knew you were laughing about something like that when she said trading the mask, because that's what kids would do. Hey, you got a Star Wars mask? Give me that. Here's my Spider-Man mask. Like.
But that's children. And
that's Batman mask in front of me.
That's the invincibility of being a child, right? And that's the curiosity. And that's part of the bonding that needs to exist eventually. But we're not going to have that right now. And some of the things that I really look at As an engineer, data has always been very important to me, and I work in the different sectors of law enforcement, education, and health. And I'm looking at what are other countries doing to make this successful. Iceland, is a very small country, yeah, but we can isolate our areas into small communities, but the very few deaths, they've never shut down. They all still go to work. Their restaurants are still open. Their kids are still in school. They smartened up, and they use the test only on the people who are not sick, so that they can isolate the hot zones. So if you're sick, you go over here. When you're well, you come back here. Death rate 1, and all this time, maybe 10 now. But Hong Kong is the same. And then I look at Japan. They had a little spike there, and I agree with you. We haven't seen the iceberg yet.
No, we haven't.
We are just at the very beginning of what is going to explode, and we need to be prepared for it. And one of the things that has concerned me the most is we have yet to hire our pandemic team.
Yeah.
Japan has theirs. Hong Kong has theirs. Iceland has theirs. All these countries, that Malaysia has a policy in place. So pretty much they have. So all of these places that are functioning and doing things with very low fatality rates, they have a pandemic team in place, and we need to do this. And the flag needs to be raised. Why haven't we done this yet? And but
because Obama did it.
Well, I mean, initially we did have a pandemic team under President Obama, but it was disbanded by this current president. Yeah, and so I think basically he doesn't. Yeah, I think he doesn't want to have anything to do with President Obama. I just honestly believe that's because he's Black, and he's racist or whatever. So anything that President Obama says, he's going to do the opposite. But you're absolutely correct. We should have the pandemic team. We should have experts talking. We shouldn't have, experts that are, talking with Trump. And what I mean is, in agreement with what he says. He's not a scientist. He doesn't have the degree. He doesn't have the mental capacity to even, spew out numbers in terms of, data and statistics. And, he has led. Yeah, and he has led this country into, into the bottom of the pit, into a pit hole based off of his incompetence and his not knowing and not listening. And, he's always said, I can do it alone. And I mean, in any situation, we already know that nothing can be fixed alone. But the sad part about it is he doesn't listen to the experts. He doesn't trust the science. And I heard Meghan McCain say, she doesn't trust Dr. Fauci. How in the hell are you not going to trust Dr. Fauci? Dr. Fauci is the number one leading expert when it comes to diseases and, things like that. So how are you not going to trust Dr. Fauci? And, the people to the far right are like, it's a hoax. How is it a hoax? This is what this president said. This is what this administration is saying, that it's a hoax, but people are still dying. And, they're pushing this narrative of, we got it under control. We got everything, isolated, when it's, actually the opposite. And they're really not doing anything to, support the American people. Basically, when he first came out, he was like, it's basically the states competing against the states. And I'm like, where do they do that at? What's the whole point of us having a federal government and,
exactly.
Federal agencies if, the states cannot, utilize those powers that be? But he made it like it was a competition. And then, Governor Hogan in Maryland, he made a pact with South Korea. I want to say, was it South Korea? One of them. And where his wife, got PPE equipment for the state of Maryland, and he got upset about that. But what you left people with no choice. You gave them, the hand, and you were like, this is what it is. So this is where you need to be. So I mean, I just think that this administration has failed drastically with the American people, and especially when it came to like handling the pandemic, it wasn't handled. We're basically on our own. And so, people who are actually wearing the mask and, doing what, the scientists are saying, we're, being safe. But the other people who are, not wearing the mask and, think it's a hoax and, things like that, they're the ones that's actually spreading it. I was reading an article the other day that a child in Georgia went to school, was infected with COVID-19 based off a family member, and the child was asymptomatic, and everybody in that particular, classroom has to be, quarantined and, set aside from, everybody else. So my thing is is this going to be the norm? You're going to allow children to come to school, and then, all the other people, are at risk and, getting infected. So, everything has a trickle down effect, so if he would have done what he was supposed to do from the jump, we wouldn't be in this situation, and we wouldn't have lost almost 200,000 people.
Agreed.
I agree. And, I want to ask you a question since we're on this subject. Are you familiar with the recent speech that he just gave yesterday and the bill that he just signed off that he's going to, defer the taxes? And, of course, we're going to get another $200, which I'm totally against all of this stuff that he's doing, because if we do things right, we don't need this.
Right.
But I have to ask myself, and I've been asking economic experts over and over, where's the first $4 trillion? That's a stimulus. It's supposed to stimulate and cycle, but it's landed somewhere. There's no more $4 trillion. And now we're printing another $2 trillion. We're going to put it out. And I feel like there's some money laundering going on here.
Of course.
It's up in somebody's pocket. It's not mine.
Yeah.
It's not yours.
No. It went to
their slaves.
Yeah, it went to most of his friends, even with the small business loans. All of the companies that are affiliated with somebody in, the Republican Party, most of those people got the money. So that's where the money is going. And I mean, like I said, it's no transparency there. So we don't know what's what and, who's getting what. We only know what they're saying. And we already know that we can't trust this president or his administration because there's no truth to what they're saying. They lied about, the simplest things. So what makes you think that we're going to be able to trust you when it comes to, like trillions and trillions of dollars? We can't, And as far as, him signing those bills, and he wants to take away the payroll tax, and people fail to realize is the payroll tax supports Social Security. And so he clearly wants to and defund Social Security. But my thing is, this is a pay into system. American people pay into this system. So how are you trying to disband and steal that money? And because that's basically what it is to me. They're trying to steal the money and basically use it for probably like military and that wall that he's trying to build and things like that, because a lot of those Republicans, for example, have stake in the military companies like Halliburton. What's his name? Dick Cheney. That's his company. So Halliburton got all those money, all that money to go over to Iraq, Iran, and rebuild and do construction and things like that. So it's about following the trail. So I always tell people, if you want to know about it, follow the money. You know what I'm saying?
I've got to tell you, I hate to interrupt you because you're on a roll, and I'm agreeing with everything that you're saying. But IBM TV, we try to be apolitical, but it's also smart TV. So I got to tell you, everything you're saying is.
I'm sorry.
It's smart.
No, it's good.
Smart. So it's good. It's good.
I love it.
We want to just tamper down a little bit.
So here's the thing: we allow people to speak their opinion and minds, especially from education, but also it's about our own communities and how they're impacted. And I have to agree with you. This cutting the federal tax has concerned me greatly. It's one thing if you cut the workers' compensation, we don't really need it, and then make them buy more medical insurance for people. I'm all for that. It's another thing to cut the state payroll tax. We don't need it in most states. A lot of states don't have that. So I agree with you. There's something fishy going on there. But for him to get up there and say, and if I become president again, I might just cut that all together. And I'm like, and who's going to pay for the police? Who's going to pay for
right?
Are we not going to need it?
He doesn't
scared me. Are we not going to need it?
Yeah, he just spews out information and things like that or whatever. I think it was it Johnson that instituted the Johnson. I think it was Johnson, the president.
The tax came from Lincoln.
It was Lincoln. Okay,
the tax paid to the board.
Yeah, so that they could have retirement. Because everybody doesn't have a pension. Everybody doesn't have a job that pays into a 403B or a 401k. Right. So you mean to tell me that you would rather cut this tax and, just leave people stranded or whatever and not have, any type of means and any type of, like money? Because what he fails to realize is you think the crime rate is, great now. Wait until these people have no money. You know what I'm saying? So when they have no money, it's just like a rabid dog. You put a dog in a cage and don't feed that dog, what's going to happen? You know what I'm saying? So when you take away their means and you take away the little money that they do have, what do you think is going to happen? You know what I'm saying? So I don't think the thought processes are there. You know, if I do this, then, you know, I don't get the consequences of what's going to happen later, you know, in life if I take this away. You know, we need to start, you know, having conversations, and not just, you know, Democrats, Republicans as well. We need to have courageous conversations as to how we can better the country, how we can make, you know, the American people more sustainable, how we can, you know, get more money into the American people pockets. Because, you know, if you look at, let's take Chicago, for example. Chicago has a lot of crime. So what's the problem with Chicago? There's no jobs. There was white flight. You know what I'm saying? So when white people left and went to the suburbs, they called it, you know, white flight. And, you know, that then the ghettos were formed where, you know, Black people didn't have, you know, sustainable, you know, money. The stores left, all of this other stuff left, you know, the business left, the economics, you know, went down and things like that. So what do you think is going to happen? People are going to still kill and rob to make sure that they survive and they get food. So if you take this away, then that's what's going to happen in the long run. So you're not doing the American people any justice. You're basically putting us in harm's way, the people who actually have jobs and things like that. So then they're going to start coming after us, and then they're going to attack us, and then go to the stores, and it's just going to be a trickle-down effect. So,
I can say one thing, getting back, think about like this, and we're all old enough to know this on this panel. I've seen a lot of this ahead of time because right in the, say, 20 years ago mark or 25 years ago mark, right around that time in our history, right? Let's just say pre 9/11. We had an opportunity in this country to really set up older people that didn't have a college education with technical jobs. And we didn't do it. And that's what happened, because at that point, and I was working in healthcare and doing music. But what happened is, and I'm agreeing with everything you guys are saying, I just wanted to jump in. What happened is when that started to happen, there were no more, everything became automated, tire factories, car companies. When that automation started, we here, all of our Democrats, Republicans, and independents, and people that just don't do nothing, all of us should have said, listen, we can see this now. So let's start training people to do these technical jobs, sit behind a computer and run the automation. And this way they will be able to sustain themselves when they get 30, 40, 50. A lot of people my age, what happened is when technology came, they lost their job. They couldn't rebound because they didn't have the skills. And I think in this country, we have to critically always think the future. We have to teach, okay, going forward, now that we made our mistakes, we have to teach young people, listen, go take a trade and still go to college. When I was in New York, the number one school was the New York Technical School. They taught plumbing, carpeting, auto mechanics, cooking, everything that you could go out and apply a trade to. And we lost, and it was specially done, and it wasn't done for poor people, wasn't done for Black or white people. It was done because it was already in the system. And they had foresight. They knew a plumber's going to make $70,000 a year. So if you don't want to go to college and it's not for everybody, then you got a skill. You know, I know how to fix and repair my car because I learned it in auto shop. I have a skill, a fallback skill. And in this country, we did not. Those 20 years when technology hit, we were loving it. But the people in Pennsylvania, the people in Wisconsin, the people in Detroit, they were like, I can't run this automated machine because you didn't teach me. And that bothers me to this day. That was the trickle that started the wave. Because
well, Zach, we had a candidate saying exactly what you're saying. His name was Andrew Yang, and he got no traction with that message. Nobody voted for him.
Nobody voted for him. We had a lot of good people. I don't like the primaries and the way they're done. I think we just need to vote in one day instead of, because by the time we get to North Carolina, there's nobody good left, which tells me the rest of the country votes stupid. But I know I'm horrible, but so let's think about this though. A lot of our jobs got outsourced. Okay. So a lot of my loved ones, a lot of people that I went to college with back in the 80s, We actually graduated in the early 80s. We had these great and wonderful flourishing jobs, and they were outsourced. So we had no money. And like you said, the white flight in Chicago. But don't forget about this one either. Oprah left Chicago. And when Oprah left, because I work in media, and one of the conversations I have in media now is when Oprah left Chicago died.
The night Chicago died. Yeah.
Literally died. The economy went down, even though they have a lot of great conferences. To me, Chicago has the most beautiful zoo, literally, and it's a free zoo to the public. It's the best well-kept zoo I've ever been to. They've got beautiful museums and artifacts and parks, but they've lost their economy because they didn't try to keep the people in and giving them trades and giving them education, because literacy is what's going to close that gap. And that's what Nick and I have been all about, is closing that gap between poverty and sustainability. And,
so let me go back to, I'm sorry.
That's literacy.
Let me go back to what Zach was saying. So you're absolutely correct, but you got to understand, it didn't just start with the public sector. It started in the school system. So that back in the 80s, I was a child. So I'm just speaking from, here and now. So what happened in the school system is they took away all of the trades and all of the, technical things and, all of the things that they used to teach us. Because I remember taking wood shop in school. I remember taking home economics. And so they taught you basic life skills. So the narrative was that we need to push education. We need to push college. So they started pushing college. And so now we're on a short end of, technical laborers. We don't have the people to, fill those jobs in terms of, the plumbers and, things like that or whatever. The narrative was, you need to go to college, you need to do this, you need to do that in order to, achieve the American dream. And they didn't push, the technical side of it. And we already know that, everybody is not college bound. Everybody is not, they don't want to go to college. So I look at it, what is the 80-10-10 rule, where, 80% of the people are going to do one thing, 10% are going to do this. And then you have the 10% that are, you're elitist and, things like that or whatever. But, you're absolutely correct. But, also with the, when it came to the training, a lot of the training was offered. People didn't take the training. Even with President Obama, he had the, what is it called? My Brother's Keeper. For Black men. And then they also had one for, Black females. And a lot of people did not sign up for those trainings. So, I have this argument all the time because they're like, President Obama didn't do anything for Black people. And I was like, that's not true. President Obama implemented a lot of programs where people did not, sign up for those programs. And I'm like, what did you want him to do? Go sign you up for the program, complete the training, and you get the credit for it? No, it doesn't work that way. And even with me in the education field, I know that, by me being an educator and also working in mental health, I know that every 5 years I have to have at least 6 credit hours in order to maintain my certification. So if I don't get those 6 credit hours, it's nobody's fault but to blame. It's myself. So, people, and I guess, when it came to, the technical jobs and, the training and stuff, I guess they didn't believe what was going to take place, but the writing has always been on the wall when it came to technology. Because even when President Trump, he said that he was going to bring coal mining jobs back, and he had all those coal miners to support him and things like that. But those jobs are basically gone, and we're not going to bring those jobs back. But at the same time, I think people need to start realizing, hey, I need to do X, Y, and Z to make sure I'm properly trained in order to, move to the next step. So I have multiple certifications, I have multiple degrees, so I can work in the private sector, I can work in the public sector, I can work in a school, I can work for a private firm, I can work wherever, so I made sure that I had enough, certifications and, degrees. So if I'm not good at this job, then I can switch to something else. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, like I said, people have to they got to step up, and they have to take responsibility for themselves, because the writing has always been on the wall, not with the outsourcing, but in terms of the technical jobs and moving forward with the computer and automated things. It has always been on the wall because when I was a child growing up, they tried to push girls into STEM. This is the way that you need to go. This is what you need to do. And this is what you need to be successful. Even though I do have a STEM degree, my master's is in technology or whatever, but I just don't work in it. but that's the way that they pushed us or whatever. And so, some of us listened, some of us didn't. And I think that goes back to, like the older generation. I mean, because I see it in my mom's household when I try to, tell her, hey, you need to learn how to do this. You need to learn how to do, oh, I don't need to learn how to do that. I'm good. I'm okay. And so, you get a lot of pushback when you try to, tell someone who's older than you, you need to do this and you need to do that. And they're not really, wanting to comply. And, especially, like with the technical skills, because I try to, and I hate working with adults because they don't listen. I'm serious. So when I teach computer, technology skills and, trying to just teach the basics and things like that, they don't listen. They don't pay attention. And I literally walk by and I pop their hands and I'm like, no, that's not how you do that. You know what I'm saying? And they're looking at me crazy. Like, what are you talking about? So it's hard to, get adults to change their mindset and to change their norm into, doing something else. So I think, they're to blame as well.
I was going to say, we have 7 people, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 people on the panel. Obviously, the 2 smartest are the 2 women. All right. Both of you got degrees, plaques on the wall, awards. You got, between the 2 of you got like 30 degrees. So I just wanted to put that out there. Thank you, ladies. You dominate, you rule. I bow to you.
I got to pick with Zach. Where you been hiding?
Jim, I have to jump in there, and I have to agree with you. These women rule, Kimberly and Dr. Anthony. But the one thing I was going to say is I have a friend of mine who is actually a professor. She's a professor on the college level in both the physical building as well as online learning. And she talks about that because she actually was expecting what we're in the middle of now. So she was already doing online education. She was already using a lot of these kind of platforms. And she is shocked at how many folks were not preparing for it, already knowing that it was getting ready to come down the pipe. Because like I said, she's already got those skill sets. She's in Nevada, in Las Vegas area. So she's already got those skill sets and is working in the field. But she oftentimes talks to me when we're having conversations about how I don't know why X, Y, and Z person did not know to already start that training, knowing that it was coming down the pike in this way. So she was just always telling me that she's shocked at that. And I was wondering if you were having those same kind of experiences, Dr. Anthony. And the other thing that I was going to ask as a question was, I love this platform we're on. We're using StreamYard, and of course there's other ones, Zoom and other things of that nature. But I do wonder from a psychological standpoint, are you seeing people that are getting zoomed out and are getting kind of like having these impacts with these kind of tools that we're using where it might have a psychological impact on them?
I was zoomed out. I was zoomed out because my principal, she's an older lady, and so she wasn't really, grasping how to use Zoom and, all the technical features. So instead of me, like sitting here, doing this face to face, I would always post a picture and I would be doing something else in the background, because it was like, if you don't get me in the first 2 to 3 minutes, then you've lost me. You know what I'm saying? And I'm just like, okay, well, I'm done. This is going to be, repetitive, me dang, so I was just like, I'm totally over Zoom right now. So that was, with that, because she wasn't, technically sound or whatever. But for the most part, I have in my clients, I have one that is totally against using technology, and he's about 28 years old. He's very old school. He doesn't want to do Zoom. He would prefer to text me and, talk on the phone. So, like I said, I try to be flexible with the client. So if that's the way he wants to communicate, that's the way he communicates. But as far as the children are concerned, the children are very flexible, and they actually like the Zoom because you can, see each other and you have conversations. And I didn't have a problem with that. But the 5th graders that I had this past school year, I had already started integrating technology with them. So they were already acclimated to working on the computer 50% of the time. And then, we work in the classroom 50% of the time. But the new students that I have to retrain them, how to utilize the technology and how to utilize the things that, I want them to do. But I think that's going to be, a little difficult because I'm not there personally to, really oversee it. So trying to do it online with the new ones is going to be extremely difficult, especially with the ones who have, learning disabilities and, the ones that have to take, extra time to, get things done. So that's where I foresee my challenge at with the students. But as far as the adults, I think they're adjusting okay. Now, the older adults, I think they're having more problems and frustration than, the middle age. Because like I said, my mom, she just refuses to, try to learn technology. I tried to teach her how to text. She won't text. We use this app called Viber to.
Can I step in a second?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm 76. I have a lot of old friends. My friends, and not only my friends, but people. I Zoom a lot. I Zoom a lot with people who are in their 60s and 70s and 80s, and I would say a broad-based categorization of older people not being willing to learn technology is not a good thing to say, because I know tons of people who are my age or older or younger who have learned technology and use it every single day. So maybe your mother doesn't want to use it. But I'm going to tell you that I know a lot of people who do. So please don't make the characterization
that use technology. But at the same time, there's a lot of older people that I know that don't use technology. There are some. You're entitled to your opinion, and I'm entitled to mine. And so that's based off of my perspective. That's just only my perspective, and it's not meant to be derogatory or disrespectful. Is just based off of what I see in my community, that they don't want to utilize technology. In your community, it's awesome if they are, but the people that I deal with, the older generation that I deal with, they do not want to utilize technology. And it's just not in my family. It's across the board, because I work with a lot of people and I deal with a lot of people. So I'm speaking from my experiences and my folks that, I have a direct contact with.
I can say I just jump in the middle of that.
It's not saying that everybody does it. That's just like saying all Black people are thieves.
Yeah. I worked in healthcare for like 20 years in nursing homes and stuff like that. And I remember, again, technology was just starting. And every time they brought in, and I worked for the Carmelite nuns for 20 years, every time they brought in a new system, when they were switching over from paper to computerized medical records, and computerized medical records had to be brought in by this other company. So there were a lot of people, older people, younger people, we all had to embrace that technology. And I agree with both of you, because you're both making the same point. Some people just didn't have it in them, whether they were older or younger, to embrace it because of the change. And then some people that were my age, and at that time I was in my mid-30s, we jumped right on it. And what helped me was because when music went digital, I had to understand technology in order to do my job, record this and that, whatever. But both of you make the same point, because there were a lot of people that were resistant. I had to train. After they trained me, I had to train my staff of 13, right? After that, there were some people that I had to give extra training to, just to get them to embrace the fear. I don't think it's because they can't. People are scared when they have to embrace change at a certain age. I know I'm 62. I'm scared to change. And like I said, I agree with both of you, because then there were people that were like, great, I got a new toy. But these were already people that had a tech background. So for them, the doctors, the nurses, the older doctors, a lot of people, they were able to do it right away because they were already on a computer at home. So I was just going to say, I agree with both of you. It's 50-50.
So Zach, let me also point out that here in Pennsylvania, we have a number of technical schools that are for high school age kids to go to. So they have the choice of going to a technical school and learning all the stuff you were talking about that supposedly was eliminated in the 90s, and it hasn't been here in Pennsylvania. Okay?
I know in New York they did, but I'm glad Pennsylvania's still doing it.
Maybe some states they haven't. So what I'd like to suggest is that let's not do broad brush suggestions. Statements. Yes, it may be true, Dr. Anthony, that your experience is such and it's different than my experience, and I can accept that. I've also seen young people who don't want anything to do with technology for whatever it's worth. Probably not as many as older people. Yeah, but
just jump in here. They see the different house transfers will actually on social media. I mean, my mom is definitely very much computer engaged. She has her own computer, a desktop, and all of that stuff, and is very much computer engaged. First when she was working, and now that she's retired, in terms of communications and things of that nature. I've got multiple Facebook accounts. My mom has none, but she will check on Facebook and on other things because she knows that her sister has a Facebook account. So she will actually check using other people's accounts. She has a late sister who, one sister that's still living, that she checks using her account to see what me and my younger brother are up to and her nephews are up to. She has another sister that has passed, but that account is still up. So she will use that account because she had the password when she was taking care of my Aunt Carolyn in order to access and to keep kind of track of what folks are doing. So sometimes we think that some of the old folks might not be using social media, but they might be using it in a roundabout kind of way.
Well, I mean, for example, when I worked in Dallas and we trained older teachers, because if you look at the statistics and the data, you notice that that the teachers are over 50 years old. The majority of teachers are over 50 years old. So when I trained those people, we had one lady who actually died at the computer from being so overwhelmed and, about change and, about using technology. So I see this every day. Yeah. The older generation within the school system, they don't want to embrace change. They don't want to, use the technology. And, it's hard to, get them to see the benefit of it when, they're pushing back and, giving you constant negativity. Because even with, at the school system where I am and the building where I am, we have a lot of older teachers. And it was a struggle for them to even, do the Zoom lessons, to do any of the, the new technology and things like that. But they don't want to change, And so
fear of change doesn't rely on age. Fear of change is human nature.
Well, that's what I mean. Fear, older, right? Fear, yeah.
Older because they're older than me. So I'm saying older, So, I don't want to say,
But Dr. Anthony, I just don't understand. How did we get off of my mental health?
Well, your mental health isn't that important. But speaking of fear, Dr. Anthony, speaking of fear,
it was a major, that was a major change for them, and it was hard for them to grasp the concept of, using that particular technology. And I'm not saying that they don't use social media. Social media is not teaching. It's a whole different ball game where you have to use technology to teach, and it's in a different capacity. And these people were actually stroking out, having, panic attacks and, things like that or whatever, because they did not want to embrace the change. So that's where, I'm speaking from, not saying that, all older people are like that, but, like I said, I try to get my mom and, direct people to, do it. And, it's pushback. And then in the school, it's, pushback because a lot of the older teachers wanted to go back to school. But, people who were younger than myself, we were like, oh, no, we're good with the online. We're good with the technology because that's basically what we do on a, everyday basis.
On an everyday basis. Speaking of fear, and I've got to change the topic just slightly and everything. I want to know, Kim, did you have any impact with the earthquake? Because I was telling Ankit, we were having a phone conversation, that I know that there was an earthquake here in North Carolina that registered 5.1. Yes, Jim, we get those every once in a while. So we had an earthquake, but it was more toward the southern end of our state. But Kim, you're in Raleigh, and I understand that it might have impacted it in Raleigh a little bit. So it would have been when you were waking up. Did you feel anything?
Wynn said that a lot of you don't know who Wynn is. He's one of our team. He said he felt a little wheezy. 5.1 it's about a 3-hour drive from here to Mount Airy and Spartan, where all of that happened. And by the way, Mount Airy is the Andy Griffin area. Like they have a real Andy Griffin town there. Actually, the last living actress is still living there. But yeah, we didn't feel much, but we're getting the trickle effect. What about you, Mark? What about
I didn't feel anything, and Zack and me are right here, so
when was it?
Really feeling it was this morning at 8:00.
I was asleep. I went to bed at 5 a.m. So if it came, I would have been smoked. I was recording all night, so if it came, I would have been you would have had to come dig me out because at 8:00, I'm sure I was in the zone. So
we'll remember that, Zach. If we don't see you the next morning, we'll remember.
Dig me out.
I'll come dig you out. I tell you, they keep talking about this is the worst we've had since 1916, but that's not true. We had a couple about 10 years ago.
I remember those.
That I remember rocking the parking deck.
Right.
I don't know if you remember that, but I think it actually cracked the parking deck at the mall.
Oh, wow.
So we
Was that in North Carolina? Was
Yes.
that in North? Because
Yes.
there was one in Virginia, south of Washington D.C.
Today?
And no, this is maybe 8-10 years ago, and I
Okay.
remember sitting in my office here in the Philadelphia area, and I actually felt it, and I thought to myself, that was very strange. Had no idea what it was, but things shook, and
I was in New York and we felt it. I was in my apartment and for like 8 seconds, I was like, oh no. You know, it was weird.
Talk about earthquakes, please.
No, because the building was leaning. Because I've never, that was my first time ever experiencing an earthquake. So we were in there with the children, and so the building was leaning and, you know, rocking back and forth. And they was like, "What are we supposed to do?" And I'm like, "I don't know. I don't know what to do because I've never been in an earthquake before." So I started calling people. I'm like, "What am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to do?" They was like, "Get the children out. Go outside. Go outside." So I'm like, "Okay, well, let's just go outside." So we just rushed outside or whatever, and we stood away from the building and things like that or whatever. But that was my first time ever experiencing an earthquake. So I was like, yeah.
Don't worry, Jim. You're good. You're good, Jim. Don't worry. We got you.
My
Jim, brought that up.
San Diego.
Close to Himalayas, basically, and Nepal got a drastic effect, and there was a big holes in Nepal, and that is close to India. And we felt tremors for like maybe 30-35 earthquakes happened. In the period of 1 month, and that was amazing because no one knows that 30-35 earthquakes happened within 1 month. And that is close to Himalayas, which is a big mountain range, and everyone was scared. And if you check out the pictures, the roads are nowhere. All the roads are dumped, and there was a big hole and all those things, and everyone was suffering. No one knows what happened, but life have to start back, and things have to fall in place. But I'll tell you something: if you check out the earthquake happened in Japan, they have an amazing pandemic team about earthquake. They know how to clear the earthquakes and how to manage it out. They are suffering like hell. The same thing happened in Hawaii as well. But I think Japan knows how to maintain and how to survive the earthquake. And we have to learn a lot of things.
You know, I've worked with the Japanese for a long time, and I had to work in California. My first experience, I was in the very top of a very, very, I forget how many floors, and the buildings sway. But they designed the buildings to sway.
Right.
In earthquake. And we designed telecom equipment to be earthquake. So earthquake proof, as we call it. So the ability to be flexible was built into these mainframes, so that when they were in California, we also had emergency trucks that were complete telephone switches. So when an earthquake would hit California, we would move these trucks in to replace the network switches. We were able to use those trucks, get this, from when 9/11 happened. Yeah. And we were able to haul in the trucks and make sure connectivity happened. So it was, wow, what a miracle that we already had these trucks for California, and they were ready to all we had to do was just move them to New York.
Because the main central office down in the financial area, which I think controlled well over 100,000 phones, was totally destroyed. So
I've been in and out of that office many times, and the walls are designed to be bomb-proof. Okay, and what I mean by bomb-proof is there's several layers of regular block, so nothing should ever come through them. And I had some friends in there, and they were calling me. I was boarding a plane that morning to go meet some people there, and they were hiding under the desk in the network switch, and they were taking pictures, and it looked like bullets coming through the wall.
Wow.
Oh, wow. And I'm, by that point, I'm like, something bad has really happened, because these walls were designed to take any beating. And for something like that to just be piercing the walls, and so fortunately, though, we had a network switch that we could pull in and make it happen. Actually, I was not really working for that part of the telecom industry anymore. I was kind of more of a consultant at the time. And but it was pretty phenomenal to watch how all of this kind of fell into place. But that's what being prepared is all about. And I think that's what Dr. Anthony is also bringing up to mind, is that when we teach our kids certain things about, today we have to be prepared. We have to learn how to wear a mask. We have to teach them to be prepared, because what we're coming up against is greater than any war that any mankind can bring us. Okay, we are now at war with what the earth has to offer, and I think we have to learn to figure out how to live with it. Yeah. And my vote is we all get stormtrooper suits and Darth Vader suits, and we can get back together again. You know, there was a reason for that. Science fiction has always come true, and I think they designed our clothes for us, because you could just hear Darth Vader. Right?
So here's the one issue that may happen if a big earthquake happens in California on the San Andreas Fault, the Socialist Republic of Northern California might actually become a separate country.
There you go.
See, Lynn, you got to explain that to Dr. Anthony, because she doesn't know your joke about you and Jim. So you need to tell her why, so she doesn't have to. Actually, Nick was the one that started it.
Yeah, Nick started it.
I just have picked up the ball.
Can't blame it on Nick. You can blame it on Nick.
Yeah. Well, hey, look. He's not here today.
As you were saying it in my mind, I'm like, wait a minute, hold up.
See, because I saw the look on your face. I saw it.
I'm thinking science. I'm like, wait a minute, the plate tectonics didn't shift, so I'm like, wait a minute, did it shift recently or something like that? I haven't read the article. So that's what I was thinking about as you were saying it. So I'm thinking science.
Lynn has bought property in Nevada because he thinks it's going to be a
beachfront property. Absolutely.
I believe it. I'm investing.
Hey, look at
the love I get, Dr. Anthony. You wonder why I'm a mess.
I told you there's no hope for you. No hope for you at all, Jim. We all know this. There's no hope for you at all whatsoever. But
I still have the $20 bill.
You got the $20?
So I'm going to.
I'm going to change the subject if no one else will. And so you were talking about the Dr. Anthony, about the COVID and the mental effect that it was having on people, and how we sheltered in place, and then we opened up, and then we had to close down again. And, when we were first sheltering in place, I think people were pretty okay with it. It was a little upsetting, but when we opened up, we had this hope that everything's going to be okay. And then we had to shut down again. And now everybody's confused because we don't know if we're going to open up and shut down again. What's going to happen? So there's a lot of confusion and uncertainty and fear that's going around the country. And I think that's the mental health issue that everybody is living with right now.
Good point, Jim.
Words of encouragement for people like me who are just.
I mean, I think, to be honest with you, I think our seniors are the bomb.com, because, they didn't really come from an area of, like where we're living now with all the technology, with all this. And they're to me, they're accustomed to, like the simple things in life, the staying home, the, visiting and talking on the phone and sitting on the front porch. But where it comes, with my generation and after, we're the ones that, got to be out there, got to be on the front, got to be on the social media, got to do this, got to do that. So I think that's where, a lot of people are having problems with their mental state, is because they're not used to sitting down. They're not used to slowing down. And so sometimes I think, people just need to go out and smell the roses and just, take a step back and just enjoy life as, we once knew it, not, the hustle and bustle, because right now they're not getting the hustle and bustle, and they're like, oh my God, I don't know what to do. I'm used to going to Starbucks. I'm used to doing this. I'm used to doing that. Free. You know what I'm saying? Get Starbucks order. We can learn a lot.
Age does that. We learn to breathe, right? We learn to say, okay, we've been through things.
And that's my thing. You can learn a lot from older people. And I love, talking to, like elderly people. Because when I used to live in Louisiana, I used to go to the nursing home and just sit and communicate with them and just talk and, just listen to their stories and just, learn things. And I think we have gotten away from that. And I think, that will help us, in this pandemic, is to sit down and talk to your grandparents, sit down and talk to your mom, sit down and talk to your dad. Because a lot of people, they don't talk to their children. They don't have conversations with their children. It's like, we're eating dinner. Okay, it's time to go to bed. Time to get up and go to school. So they don't have that happy time. And I think, people need to create that happy time and just, start enjoying. I mean, because even now I just sit and I lay down on my bed at my mom's house and I just sit and let her talk and, I just listen. And I think people need to, get back to that because, somewhere along the way we have lost it and we stopped valuing our older adults. And I think we need to bring that back into the forefront where we're, loving on our grandparents, loving on our older aunties, loving on, the older people in the community and, just stop and listen. And a lot of people, have not done that. Exactly. They have not done that. And so that's the parents are coming from, you know what I'm saying? Because to be honest with you, I don't think they know how to live. And I think they just need to stop, focus, and learn how to live again,
That's right. Dr. Anthony, real quick, right? You got something coming up with IBM.TV. So we want to promote that, make sure people know you're going to be a regular, as well as, a little tidbit for the kids, because we up against a hard count. But let us know what's happening with you and IBM TV, and when does that show start?
Well, we're still working out the logistics, hopefully in September. So we will have guest forums. Huh? You said that again?
Can I be a guest? I want to be a guest.
Why wouldn't you be? I would love to have you.
He should be your first guest, so that you can show people. You can show people how you can solve problems of confusion. Because Jim is confused all the time.
He's confused all the time. I would love that.
I've gotten comfortable with it.
So welcome to the IBM TV family. Welcome. Thank you. It's beautiful.
Thank you.
I'm waiting.
Let me know when it's on.
And I have one more question. Did they have a lot of damage in North Carolina? Because at the end of the month, I have to drive back that way to get to DC. So I don't want to be driving over debris and all that stuff.
Where are you at right now? Are you in Georgia?
I'm in Louisiana. Well, right now I'm in Texas, but I'm going back to Louisiana today.
Yeah, so you would have to. Okay, I don't recall there being much damage.
I don't recall there being much damage at all. From what I understand,
the highways
there wasn't a lot of damage. So you should be good for coming back.
Okay, good. Because I'm be traveling by myself, and I don't want it to, start shifting and all that stuff.
Well, here, do us a favor. Why don't you beam in and do a report with us while you're driving back?
Okay.
And, maybe show us a little bit of the country while you're driving through. We could do an out and about with you. We've got an out and about show, and you can say I'm stopping in, and that way we can. If you're driving by yourself, you're not by yourself anymore.
Okay, sounds good. I can do that.
Well, I can already see Jim is spooning on you, so he'll come and rescue you. I'm sure. Sorry, Jim.
I hope so.
I can see his face.
How long is the drive from Louisiana to DC? How long is the drive?
It's like about 17 hours.
Oh,
so that
means
where are you at?
Natchitoches, Louisiana.
Okay, because I've driven from here to Dallas, Texas, and to Kerrville, Texas, a few times. So you're looking at a good 24-hour, 20-hour, about 20 hours.
Yeah, I normally don't stop, so it normally takes me about 17, 18. I just stop for gas and maybe to grab something to eat, something light.
Yeah. And any parting words? Any parting words for the children out there that's listening to you? That was one of the comments.
Talk to your parents, communicate. Childhood. What's my word? I lost my train of thought. I'm sorry. Attacks on children are, very prevalent right now with the children being at home. So, if something is happening to you, make sure you report it. Call 911. It's not okay for someone to mistreat you, touch you inappropriately, or put their hands on you. So make sure you stay safe. Make sure you communicate with your parents. If you're feeling depressed, if you're feeling like you just can't do it anymore, call someone. There's always help out there for you. And we're here to support you.
Thank you.
Natchitoches, I did not spell it correctly.
Well, how did you spell it?
I spelled it N-A-K.
You spelled it the old way. Well, they have Natchitoches coffee.
It's a French word.
Okay, so it's Natchitoches.
Yes.
Remember, we have a sister city.
It's
Natchitoches.
Natchitoches.
Yeah, in Texas. Natchitoches is our sister city. Where Stephen F. Austin is.
That's what I'm looking at.
We have a sister city. So we always play Northwestern State University and Stephen F. We play for the Indian Chief. So whomever wins that football game get have the Chief Catto for a whole year.
I told you Jim was stalking you. I told you.
Just looking at where the
I told
That
you.
was a good stalk.
I know him. See, Jim and I, we got synergy. I can look in his eyes
The
and
truth
tell
is out
you
now, Jim.
what he's saying.
Lynn, I'm gonna need you to handle
I
my
already got you on Google Maps.
See, Lynn's got your back because you're right next to him. So Lynn is going to embrace it because, as far as he's concerned, Jim is a communist.
No, I didn't say that. I didn't say Jim was a communist.
No, you didn't.
I just said he lives in the Socialist Republic. That's all.
Socialistic Republic. But Nick labeled that. But as we wrap up, I want to thank all of y'all for being on IBM TV. I want to also thank Lynn and his family for donating all of their proceeds from now until the end of September. If you register at the Family Dollar Store, you will get $5. If you do it between now and end of August, you get an extra $5. And if you email go live at IBM TV and not email, send an invite. So after you register, you send an invite. I'll send you an extra $5. By the time you're done, that's $15.
Let me register.
I have to.
Let me register.
Just go right up to the. Just go right.
You're going to be on board Smart TV. You're going to register.
Okay.
Just go right to the.
Don't register. I will invite you. So I'll get $5.
I want $10.
And then I will give back to you $10 basically.
So
$10. I'm a register.
Okay, you get $5. You 5 tokens from me too.
You have to register. You have to register on the family.dollarstore.com. Click the green button on IBM.TV. It'll take you to the website. Just sign up as a customer, and you'll immediately get $5, and then we'll send you another $5. Well, these are gift tokens you have to use when you purchase products. But the good news is,
I already have the app. Can I still do it?
Yeah, it's
I'm
right
sorry?
there. If
I already have the app, I can still do it.
It's not an app.
It's not an app.
No, I'm asking. I downloaded the app. And I already have the app. Can I still do it?
The app won't work on this one basically. It's a different landing page.
So what you do is go. Can you share my screen for her?
Just register. Don't make it complicated.
Oh, I got you. Yes, I can do that.
Okay, so if you go to IBM.TV, there's a big green button. You see that big green button?
Yes.
And if you click on that green button, it'll take you to that particular familydollarstore.com, and you go register, and then you'll get your $5 and the extra $5 for registering before end of August. And if you email an invite, so down after you register, there's a place where you can invite friends. Invite go live at IBM.TV, and I'll send you an extra thank you. So, and what's great about it is there's some great products on the dollar store. They've got masks, they've got sanitizer, but it all ships to your home. And if you buy $25 worth,
you don't have to go to the store.
For free. Right. If you buy $25 worth, it ships for free. So that's what's nice. They've got some wonderful products that I generally like, face masks for
you get quality products inexpensively.
Collagen products for about $4 that I buy for $25 over the counter.
See, I'm there.
Oops, we lost Kimberly, but
there we go.
Here she comes.
Okay, so we can. There you go. And then they've got my Minion napkins. I'm a kid at heart, and we're all Minion fans. So my napkins are in the other room, but we're all Minion fans now. We all have our Minion napkins. Zach's got his Minion cup.
Oh, I got my patches on my arm.
You have a patch.
Minions.
Mark's got my patches right there.
I usually got my Minions, but I don't have them today.
I got him. Somebody brought them in. Here we go.
Put on my head after they talk about earthquakes. I need it for my head.
So they have CBD products that most companies find it difficult to sell nowadays, but they sell them in very small volumes so that you can like them. It's like $2 to $3 rather than $80 for a bottle.
Okay.
So
and Dr. Anthony, as a teacher,
4,200.
Dr. Anthony is a teacher you'll probably love. They do have some things
stuff.
for children and things of that nature, but they also have cookies because I'm known as the cookie monster of the group. So they do have cookies. And I know there's a lot of folks here, including yourself, that can remember back to their college days. And we all lived off of ramen noodles, and they do have the noodles and other things that are available.
They do.
You know what?
Did you notice the reaction that Dr. Anthony had?
I did not eat that in college. Oh, the only reason I didn't eat it in college is because I went to the college in my town, my hometown. And so I went home and ate every day. If I didn't eat the cafeteria. It's the only thing.
You were lucky. You were lucky. Not like Mark.
No, I wish I'd had them because our cook was so bad in the fraternity house that I could have used the noodles. I wish
that was the only fraternity with a bad cook.
No, it wasn't the only one.
So that's what makes all of this great is we all have some great experiences to share. And as I always say, education is valuable, experience is expensive, and other people's experience is priceless.
Priceless, exactly.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Told you they were the both smartest. Told you.
There's no doubt about that. Hey,
I apologize for falling in love so quickly. But I can pay you in tokens.
You always fall in love. Now you got a choice between two that are part of the IBM TV family. We don't know what we're going to do with you, Jim. You just got to struggle all together. So things of that nature.
I'm going to tell on Jim because when I was doing the show just a minute ago with Alexandria, you was with her too. I'm blowing you up. No, it was like, Alexandria. See, so doctor, just know that he's legit. But he got a string, okay?
So
I'm blowing you up, Joe. I'm sorry. I had to. I know it's against the man code. I know, but I had to do it because we're having fun. And Alexandria was very happy too. So Dr. Anthony too. So there you go.
Jim is a sweetheart. He does, but we'll fall out in love with you if you don't play chess.
Oh, yeah.
So, I'm not a chess player. There you go.
That's you played a little bit.
That's it. I have chess boards. I have one at my mom's and I have one at my house.
There you
go. That's good enough. Good enough.
He'll be there tonight. Don't worry.
There we go. Everybody's got their chess for dummies. I don't get my books until I know I can get them signed. So I'll get my book when I meet Jim. Well, I've got a whole bookshelf full of. That's the only way I get my books. So if I can't get them signed, I don't want them. But we've got some great things going on. Don't forget to watch Alexander May's Musical Cafe this afternoon. We've got some new shows starting this week.
Then also after that, Alexander May, we have another show called Talking Up Theme where we are doing brainstorming.
Oh my God!
That's an amazing show. Whiteboard, brainstorming, and then after the show, anyone can start their own business.
Yeah, it is the best. It is the coolest brainstorming to me. The coolest show since Shark Tank. I get into it. Like I find myself texting these guys the whole time. Like I want to be on their show. I really do, but I know I can't do every show. But I dig it. I'm so into it. And then we've got our new business shows that are coming up this week. We are now airing from 8 o'clock in the morning till 7 p.m. at night. Yep. I think we've even got an 8 o'clock at night show. Mark has got one show out. Mark, I can't even keep up with you. Dinner with Mark. He's got all of these great shows, great guests. Zach, when he gets better, we're going to start a space talk show. And so we've got some really big things going. Jim has got a chess show. If you want to learn more about chess, he's got a chess show.
Now, Jim.
Not only do we have the great chess show, but let's not also forget that we can teach folks, and Ankit knows that I'm a big supporter of this show, and another good buddy of mine is part of that show as well. But if you're into video games and you want to learn about video games and even about the creation of video games, my good buddy Jatovy McDuffie is doing that show that we have immediately after Podcaster Thursday. So we've got that show on. So if you want to learn about video games and how to the whole business of the video game market, Jatovy is very good character. He had a lively discussion this past week because, some of our folks are very adamant about what they like. And Jeff was on the show, and Jeff definitely wants us to be more green in the video world. So it was a lively but fun conversation. But I personally thought Jacoby handled it well, and it was, like I said, a fun conversation.
Yeah.
I need to listen to that show. I have a client, a little client. He's in the 8th grade now, and he's interested in doing video games and stuff like that. So I would like to, share the link with him.
Well, and the thing is,
also,
that a lot of our shows are financial literacy. Get your kids to listen to them, right? Even if they're just hearing the coffee shop style talks that we're having, it's going to feed in. It's going to bleed into their heart, their minds, and they're going to say, "Wow, I remember they said something about investing." Saving and investing are two different things.
So, supply me with the links when I set up my Google Classroom. I'll post the links inside of my Google Classroom so they have access to it and they can watch the shows.
And we have a teen show starting as well.
Okay.
So we are starting a teen show. We are starting a history show. We are starting travel shows. We are starting a show about Genius and You, which has happened on Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
And then starting a lot of shows about STEM, where Dr. Anthony is hosting one of the shows starting from September. We are starting a show, broadcasting from
Prez, right?
Rakesh Krishnan will be doing that show from New Zealand. So we are doing a lot of shows. And also we are doing show about Mount Everest and mountains. Mariam,
wow.
So that's happening sometime this month. So amazing shows coming up on IBM TV around the world. And then also Dr. Anthony and all the guests, we are also starting a show with Arifa, which is about Black heroes around the world. So she'll be talking to a lot of people who could be the Black heroes or who are very popular in their own field, but they're not a part of mainstream media, something like that. So we are trying to work it out. But she's based out of Nigeria, so they have a bandwidth issue. So we are just trying to fix it up that as well. So we are trying to get a lot of shows. In fact, we are also starting a show about Sharif School of Economics. That's also
yeah.
So it's also produced by Sharif from Malaysia. So
and Okechukwu.
And Dr. Anthony, if I can add in there and everything, they're always open, as you know now, because we're getting your show, but they're open to other ideas as well. I know I've been in conversations with them about getting some folks in to discuss a sports show and a fashion show. So they are definitely about trying to engage folks. So if you've got ideas, one thing I can say about Kim and Nick, as well as Ankit and the rest of the crew, is that they are very open to hearing the ideas and embracing the idea. So definitely they're all about creating this wonderful family, this wonderful network. We don't have to worry about those other things that you watch on TV and everything. We're coming and we're about to take the whole market over. That's my opinion. And that's what me and Zach, because we're not that far from each other, that's what we're oftentimes talking about. So we're coming for you, and definitely we're coming for the audience. So definitely keep that in mind. And I think we're growing at a wonderful rate, and just wanted to share that.
So, Ankit, I'm starting to worry about your mental health. How are you doing all these shows? I'm starting to worry about your mental health.
Well, that's what
don't worry about mine. I was already having a little bit of touch of craziness, but I like having a touch of craziness in my life.
Oh dear, you two are funny. But y'all got the same mindset going on here. I love it. I love it.
Scary.
Yeah, it is. It happens to Ankit and I all the time.
I wanted to tell you one more interesting story. So how I met Dr. Anthony. I was backstage trying to set up the show, and Zach joined another show. He was with Kim. And then we started talking to Dr. Anthony. And then the time I started, I thought that I have to invite her and invite or maybe offer a show on IBM TV. It just maybe within 15-20 seconds, I've decided that I have to do it. And then I was just trying to talk to Zach that how should I do it? How should I talk to Dr. Anthony and things like that? What she will say and all those things. But she was very humble and she said, okay, let's do it. She just wanted to understand what we are doing on IBM TV. And she's a powerhouse and a powerful voice, and I think we can do amazing.
That was a funny day because I was on the link and I'm sitting there just chilling, watching Kim, and I was like, okay, they're running a little over. Texting Dr. Anthony, where are you? Where are you? And then she's like, I heard her when I was coming on. He's texting me, but he ain't here. So Ankit was trying to do funk from the front seat, which was good. But he texts me and he says, how can I do it if I don't have a steering wheel? Right? So I was like, you was doing all right. But it was funny. I'm texting her, and she didn't even. She's looking at me like, but she was like, "Aren't you supposed to be somewhere else?" And I was like, "Yeah, I think so." I remember that day because it was me, and Ankit's texting me, and I'm like, "But I'm where I'm supposed to be." but then I didn't see you. But then it worked out well. Yes. Yeah, you were like, aren't you supposed to be somewhere else? And I was like, I think I'm in the right spot. But that was funny. That was funny.
Well, that's what people ask me all the time, Zach. Aren't you supposed to be somewhere else?
Aren't you supposed to be on your show? Well, I started thinking, well, are we supposed to start your show on our link? And because what we're trying to do is separate the links now so that everybody gets their own separate cut without us having to edit. And that's what this has allowed us to. Here we are live talking about what we do. But this is what's great about us, right, is we educate people. And this is the fun part about this is that we have the flexibility. Because when I went to Nick one day and said, I just can't work for the networks anymore. They are bleeding us. They're wearing us down. They're never satisfied. And you have to do everything precisely to a cut. And it's draining. And I wanted something more positive and a means to distribute for people who weren't getting an opportunity. Like that, there's a lot of good content here, but they can't get that distribution. So Nick and I, we were working with IBM at the time, and then we came up with this idea, and it's growing and it's coming together. And but I just he said, why don't we try this? And so we were literally the first to come out with the Zoom type platform for TV, and nobody was doing it until after COVID. But we've been doing it for about a year, just trying to work out the kinks, make sure it flows, and stuff like that. So it's been exciting. But all of this is about allowing what I call really good content that doesn't get to make it to mainstream, allowing that an opportunity to grow beyond the borders. Okay, because IBM TV isn't just the U.S. We are everywhere. I received a phone call from someone who, does business in over 100 countries, and he told me, "You're everywhere now." He's supporting us, and he's the head of the International Chamber of Commerce, and so we're able to not just bring in that content here to educate. We're able to educate out. So your voice is very strong, and we're thankful that you're with us. Yeah,
we are.
Yeah.
But Ankit says he's in India, but I know Ankit.
Mark and I are in the same backyard, and Zach is in the same backyard. We never met, so
awesome. But here's what's so cool. Last week I was on a show where we had somebody from India, somebody from Hong Kong. There was actually Okechukwu, who is from Lagos, Nigeria. Okay, and there's Willie Hill was from Australia. We had Jim from the Socialist Republic of Northern California. We had Ben Coates from England. I've had somebody I've been on a show with somebody from Budapest. And of course, lots of people from India. Yesterday, Dr. Sagu, and the day before, Dr. Tula. Which are really great people. IBM TV has wonderful, wonderful shows with wonderful people. Even Jim, I have to admit that Jim is a great guy. That's hard for me to say, and I want you to know that, but it is.
That's sweet.
Yeah, and Alexandra is wonderful.
Oh my goodness!
And just people from all over the world. It's not just.
Sasha. Don't forget Sasha. He's been with
Sasha from Toronto. Well, he and I are going to.
Russia and Toronto.
Well, Toronto. He and I are going to meet at the Niagara Falls crossing to go into Toronto, and we're going to set up a chessboard right in the middle of the customs, so that he can
also
play.
Also known as the Peace Bridge.
Yep. He can play on his side, and I can play on my side. So I have to spend time reading Chess for Dummies.
Sasha is a chess master, Dr. Anthony. So I'm in jest. Mark suggested I play him, and I was like, I'll never speak to you again, Mark, because I don't play chess. I don't even know why you said I play chess. I just play at it. But then he wants me to go up against a chess master from a world. So this is my friend. He's telling me, oh yeah, you can go play with him. I'm not touching the chessboard with that man, or even Jim, or even Lynn. I am nowhere near their caliber. You know, I can't even.
You might be able to handle Lynn. You might be able to handle Lynn. He's not played in a while, so you might be able to handle Lynn with no problem.
I can't even beat my daughters. No.
But we have some amazing guests as well, because I know that Kim had the gentleman that was on the IQ Master. I forgot his name, but he was like an IQ Master, and he was a tremendous guest that we had on. I think that was Anchor 2 days ago that Nick brought on, the gentleman with the tremendous IQ that's out of Toronto. So, like I said, we get all kinds of great guests, and I mean, he just was having all kinds of knowledge. And I think Jim tried to go toe to toe with him. This is going to let you know how his mental state is, because at least you notice that Zach said that he knew better than to play chess with these chess masters. But Jim tried to go toe to toe with like basically a member of Mensa, because the guy's like that kind of IQ smart, and Jim doesn't have any fear, and he's slightly crazy, so he just went toe to toe with him, and I think you did all right. What do you think, Jim? Did you you went toe to toe, and I think you handled yourself.
What was his IQ test? Did he reveal his score?
I think somewhere in the course, I came on later, but I know it was definitely very high up there. So I think Ankit may remember the exact number, but I want to say it was definitely in those mental levels, because he talked about it at the beginning, but I came in toward the middle of the conversation. So I did not hear the actual number, but I do know it was mental level.
They use several scales.
So Kimberly, I don't know whether you know this, Kimberly, but I got a perfect 800 or 1600 in my college boards.
Sweet.
Yeah, that was my aggregate score for 4 times.
Oh, wow. Wow.
No, remember, wait a minute. You get.
And wait, is that total?
You get 400.
That's my total score for 4 times. Remember, you get 200 for English and 200 for math just for signing the paper.
I'm clapping.
Okay.
I'm clapping. I went to school online. I got 3 letters from the dean's list. That was the highlight. And it was in the Obama administration, ironically, because I was like, oh, let me go back to school, get some kind of degree or whatever. But yes, but I'm clapping for anybody that got anything from college. Trust me when I tell you.
You know, there are so many different levels of education and layers of education. And like we talked about earlier, there are tech schools, right? And I do not put them down. Actually, one of the most brilliant minds I was honored to interview, Mike Train. He is president of Emerson. He is from this area. He started from tech school because that's all the money they had, right? He didn't have money to go to school, and that's what he did.
So, you haven't interviewed me yet.
So, and then yeah, I'll interview you soon.
If I remember correctly, and correct me if I'm wrong,
every day.
If I remember correctly, either Terry Sanford or Jim Hunt or both of them were very much proponents of technical schools and community college here in North Carolina. But I do know that I want to say that both of those Democratic governors were very much big proponents of technical colleges. I actually have a relative, a second cousin that works at Durham Tech. So I, like you, also have a great deal of respect for the technical colleges. And I think that that's something that too often we don't give enough respect to, because a lot of folks don't have that kind of training.
It's a smart
way to start. Lynn and I went to the same school, School of Hard Knocks.
Masters, right?
The School of Hard Knocks.
The School of Hard Knocks taught me a lot more than my college did.
Yeah.
Well,
and what about IBM TV School of Business?
Well, we're going to get the IBM TV School of Business going. I actually have real educators that want to start running some school classes, and we're going to start running that as well. But You know, a lot of the people we've interviewed that became millionaires and billionaires, they didn't even finish college. Mm-hmm. They had that itch of, okay, I got enough. I've learned enough, right? And one of the things I wanted to mention to you, Dr. Anthony, some of the things that you were talking about earlier reminds me of a phrase, about how we can't sit still. We got to have everything. It's called instant gratification. If we're not instantly gratified, we're constantly, and we don't know how to sit still. We don't know how to smell the roses.
Right.
We don't know how
That's
to
why you need to
sit
play
back
tonight.
and smell the stew
still
cooking and the break bread baking. We don't know how to do that anymore. We want it served. We want it over. And you were so right when you were talking about this is where we need to evolve. But I just think that we have evolved to a different layer of what we need to be doing. And we're going to try to educate the people. And Lynn had to leave, and I'm going to have to leave as well.
Well, we're all getting ready to bounce out because it's about that time. Lynn and
with an outro. Do you have an outro?
That's what I'm going to say. Y'all have given me the power, so I want to know: do I run with the ambassador or do I run with the plane? I've got the power for both. So what's the vote? Do we go with the plane?
I'm so jelly. I learned that word.
The ambassador first, and then let's fly away. So the ambassador.
That'll work.
I'm so jelly.
I love the ambassador.
So Jim, next is you.
हैंड होकर और ऐसे अपने खांसी जब आएगी तो ऐसे करेंगे अच्छू अच्छू और कोरोना वायरस को धन्यवाद हमारा म्यूजिक सुनने का.
Super cute.
Super.
Oh, by the way, Dr. Anthony, a lot of people don't know this, but I'm just going to put it out there. That is actually Ankit's young daughter that is actually the ambassador. So yeah, definitely she does a great job, and we're glad to have her as part of the team as well. So on that note, I'm going to get the plane. We're going to fly on off of here, and then that's where we're going to wrap up the show. So once again, I want to thank everybody for being on. Zach, another amazing show. And of course, this roundtable was great. It was a pleasure meeting you, Dr. Anthony. And I look forward to working with you on this as well.
Thank you.